Welcome to Senpai, your new home for immersive manga, manhwa, anime-inspired novels, and fantasy audiobook stories. Here, every episode brings you into a world of overpowered heroes, revenge arcs, cultivation journeys, virtual reality games, monsters, magic, and emotional character moments. Whether you enjoy dark fantasy, action, reincarnation, system stories, or epic adventure novels, Senpai is here to turn every chapter into a cinematic listening experience. So relax, put on your headphones, and let the story begin. Subscribe to Senpai and join the journey.
Didi. Just when Xia Ping was going to the station to leave Black Moon City, suddenly a system reminder sounded in his mind. Someone has an endless amount of hatred for the host. The host has received 1,000 hate points. What? Hearing this voice, Xia Ping was shocked. Someone actually had endless hatred for him. Who was it? It seemed that he didn't do anything bad as he just killed a few gangsters. Could it be because he killed the young man in white? He immediately thought of the young man that he had just killed. Xia Ping knew at a glance that the other party was wearing rich and expensive clothes and was not an ordinary person. Now that the other party was killed by him, it would definitely cause big trouble. But Xia Ping didn't expect that some people would feel so resentful because of this and would never let go. Indeed, something is really wrong. Xia Ping cautiously walked toward the station, and when he reached an alley that was about to approach the station, he immediately noticed that there were 5 or 6 times more underworld patrols around. He clearly saw the men in black, tall and big men wearing sunglasses, walking almost everywhere around the station like soldiers. The station was heavily guarded. All passengers approaching the station would be intercepted by these men in black, and their bodies would be searched. Only afterwards would they be allowed to board the train and leave. Once there were any problems, they would be caught immediately and tortured. It seems that I really caused some big trouble. I guess the identity of that dead young man is not simple. Xia Ping's eyes flickered, and at the same time he used rendition of heaven and earth to sense the surrounding situation. He immediately discovered that not only in the station, but there were also many hidden people in black all over the vicinity. They were all staring at every pedestrian passing by with a serious expression and would never let any suspicious people pass. Soon, Xia Ping found that several people in black were chatting nearby. TSK Tusk, I haven't seen such a scene for a long time. Isn't it? I heard that Director Zheng was furious and used his highest authority to mobilize members of the entire company, and even ordered peripheral members to be used to capture the murderer. Whoever catches the murderer would be heavily rewarded. This is also normal. If one's only son was killed, who wouldn't be angry? TSK. The murderer is absolutely dead, but Director Zheng said that once he catches the murderer, he would immediately shatter his body and even find his identity and destroy his 9 generations. It's so cruel, but this is the fate of offending our Black Bear Company. Yes, there's no one who dares to kill people at Black Bear Company and leave safely. Be smart. Don't let the murderer run away. Of course, I've been watching and I will never let any suspicious person go. Several men in black were talking, and at the same time, they looked around vigilantly. Hearing those words, Xia Ping's face suddenly became gloomy. He didn't expect the people from the Black Bear Company to be so cruel. If his true identity were to be discovered by the other party, it would definitely cause huge trouble for his family. You'll also like Paid Story, Lava Cat Cruise Ship, 22.3K, 1.3K. When luxury cruise liner the Silver Queen finds giant, parasitic saber-tooths on board, it's up to the captain's son to save both the ship and all of humankind. Fortunately, he was prepared in advance and changed his appearance with a human skin mask. The other party would not be able to discover his identity unless he was caught. The people from the Black Bear Company should have never seen me. I was very careful the previous few times. Xia Ping's eyes flickered, but it is almost impossible to get on the train safe and sound. Once I get close to the train, the golden potion on my body and the secret manual will be discovered immediately. If he discarded these things, he could of course escape safely, but he was reluctant and did not want to lose these things to others for nothing. He wanted the best of both worlds. I have to see what is in the system store that can get myself out of the current predicament. Xia Ping's heart was moved, and he immediately clicked on the system store in his mind to check the items on it. This investigation took only half an hour, and finally he found a useful thing. Invisible pill, worth 1,200 hate points. This kind of pill had a special effect. Once it was taken, it could immediately converge the breath of one's own body and make someone invisible. The surrounding creatures couldn't detect the existence of a user. The effect lasted 1 hour. If he took this medicine, he could leave this place easily. But using so much of his hard-earned hate points was akin to gouging out his flesh. It was a full 1,200 hate points that he accumulated for a long time. Just buying this pill alone will cost half his total points. How could he be willing? No, I absolutely can't let the Black Bear Company go like this. They forced me into such a desperate situation and sent so many people to chase me. If I don't repay this kindness, wouldn't I appear very impolite? Xia Ping's eyes shone brightly, and he immediately formulated various plans in his mind. He had to severely damage the Black Bear Company before he was willing to leave Black Moon City. Otherwise, he would not be able to swallow such loss. An hour later, the first floor of the Black Bear Company building. Zheng Cheng, his subordinate Song Hui, and a few confidants were all standing in the lobby on the first floor. Their faces were very gloomy and clouded, and the atmosphere was very tense. What is the problem? Zheng Cheng stared at his subordinates, and his anger exploded. An hour has passed, and you still can't find any clues. What is the use of you trash? He couldn't believe this fact. He obviously used the resources of the entire company, and tens of thousands of members were dispatched to encircle this area impenetrably. According to normal logic, even flies couldn't fly out. But they couldn't find him. The murderer seemed to be invisible and disappeared without a trace. Song Hui smiled bitterly. Supervisor, we really did our best. All the men were dispatched, and we even searched every pedestrian passing by, but nothing was found. It seems that the guy just evaporated from the world. I dare to guess that guy must have an accomplice, and his power is not simple. The others also nodded. Without the help of an accomplice, it was impossible to get rid of their tracking. Useless trash. They're all a bunch of useless trash. Zheng Cheng was furious, but he also knew that Black Moon City didn't just have Black Bear Company as its sole hegemon. There were also many gangs stronger than Black Bear Company. If the characters of those gangs helped out, even the Black Bear Company would have no choice but to admit defeat. Black Bear Company could accept such loss, but he, Zheng Cheng, absolutely could not. Supervisor. Suddenly, Song Hui looked at his front in horror, stretched out his fingers, and tremblingly pointed at the entrance of the hall. Look, there's a white paper there with something written on it. What? When they heard Song Hui, the other people were startled. They immediately looked at the front entrance and saw a white paper stuck to the door that seemed to have some words on it. What happened? When did this white paper appear here? Zheng Cheng's complexion was gloom. He angrily shouted, What did you do? Do you just let random people scribble here? No. I remember very clearly, this door originally didn't have any white paper. It just suddenly appeared there. Song Hui felt chilled inside. It was definitely not one of us. Suddenly appeared there. The people present felt a chill from the bottom of their heart. They were all martial arts experts, but they didn't notice anything. If the other party wanted to assassinate them, wouldn't he face no difficulty? Go and see what is written on it. Zheng Cheng frowned deeply. He also felt that this was unusual. According to his cultivation base of his martial apprentice 9th heavenly layer, it was impossible for him to not detect any movements. But just now, he couldn't feel anything. It was very strange. Yes. Song Hui resisted his inner fear. He walked to the white papers and read out loud. Thanks to everyone for their love for me. For this reason, I will send a big gift to the Black Bear Company. Everyone, I'm truly grateful. Signature, Huang. Big gift. The people present all looked at each other in dismay. They didn't know what to say. What was this big gift? Could it be that the other party did something like this to really thank their Black Bear Company? The problem was that their Black Bear Company was an underworld force. They committed any imaginable misdeed, killing countless people, destroying homes. They never did good things. There was never anyone who had thanked them before. Not even once. Who is this Huang? Zheng Cheng asked. Song Hui and the others were shaking their heads. I don't know. I have never heard of this name. Damn, this is bad. Dongji, watch out. Suddenly, Zheng Cheng tensed up. A feeling of strong threat instantly spread throughout his whole body. His sixth sense was crazily giving out danger signals. With a bang, the muscles of his whole body tightened, just like a polar bear. He ran out of the building with a whistling wind. But it was already too late. Boom! At that moment, a micronuclear bomb exploded at the Black Bear Company. Its might was equivalent to hundreds of tons of explosives, and suddenly the entire Black Bear Company's large building was destroyed. Hundreds of meters of concrete was flattened and swept up formidable waves. The air almost condensed into a substance, and there was an earth-shaking tremor. All the glasses within a few kilometers were shattered. No! Song Hui and the others screamed, their eyes showing a terrified look. But their reaction could not keep up with Zheng Cheng, and they were buried under the rubble of Black Bear Company's building. Even if Zheng Cheng had a very fast response and enough strength, the explosion was still terrible. He was directly damaged by the huge fluctuations of the explosion, and countless giant stones fell from the sky. These were dense reinforced concrete that were falling from high altitude. Like a meteor, they made terrible craters as they crashed into the ground. Bang, bang, bang. A few minutes later, the entire Black Bear Company was no different from ruins. A struggling shadow emerged from under the debris. His whole body was covered in blood, as he was seriously injured with a deathly pale complexion. He was Zheng Cheng, an expert of the martial apprentice 9th heavenly layer. Even after suddenly suffering from such an attack, he could escape with his life intact momentary, displaying the extreme survivability of an expert. Huang! Zheng Cheng roared towards the sky, almost as if his lungs were exploding. You dare to blow up my Black Bear Company's building. Do you think you can escape? Can you still survive? You are dead. I will chase you to the ends of the planet, and no one will save you. I swear, I will catch you, tear your body to thousands of pieces, and destroy your 9 generations. He never felt so angry in his whole life. Someone actually dared to mess with the Black Bear Company, and even blew up the entire Black Bear Company's building with a micronuclear bomb. Unprecedented. This simply was an unprecedented event. This was clearly a provocation. They were spitting on Black Bear Company's face. It was absolutely humiliating. If their Black Bear Company didn't fight back and catch the culprit, their reputation would be gone, and there would be no place for them in Black Moon City. And Zheng Cheng, because of this incident, was seriously injured. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, there were more than a dozen stones flying in the distance. Like bullets, they slammed into his body as they tore through the air, making a sharp sound. What? Ambush! Zheng Cheng was shocked. He didn't expect that after blowing up the entire Black Bear Company's building, the murderer had not escaped. Instead, he had stayed to kill any survivors. However, he was still an expert of the martial apprentice, ninth heavenly layer. Even if he was seriously injured by the bomb and lost most of his fighting strength, he still had a little strength left that was incomparable to a normal person. Bang, bang, bang. In a flash, he punched 9 times with each fist having more than 10,000 caddies of force. It was incomparably more powerful than Xiong Batian's Tyrant Bear Fist. In a split second, those stones were smashed and his fist shot out. Whoosh whoosh. However, the enemy's attack did not give him a chance to breathe. A dozen laser shots almost covered Zheng Cheng's body with holes. Every laser was aimed at a key vital point. Once hit, he would be killed immediately. Bastard. Zheng Cheng panted. Both of his legs compressed like a spring, and he suddenly jumped away out of the laser's range. Before he could relax, a terrifying force suddenly struck. Like a roaring tiger, a fist seized an opening and made Zheng Cheng unable to fight back. Boom tilde tilde. The fist hit Zheng Cheng's chest firmly, breaking 3 ribs on the spot, and sent him flying with no resistance at all. Who is it? Who is it? Is it you, Huang? Zheng Cheng screamed with extremely anger as he still hadn't seen anyone around him. Even if he was hit with a punch, he did not see who was attacking him, as if the enemy could be invisible. Yes, I am Huang. A voice sounded from the air. With a swish, a laser beam shot his way. No, no, no. Zheng Cheng saw this and was horrified to the extreme. He was in the air, and it was impossible for him to dodge. The laser reached him in the blink of an eye and blew his head up. Zheng Cheng died instantly. Xia Ping coldly watched Zheng Cheng's death without any fluctuations in his heart. This was war. If this guy did not die and waited for revenge, then it would have been his own death and the death of his family. There was no right or wrong, only perspectives. From another perspective, if he was caught by the opponent, he was afraid that he would really be unable to die even if he wanted to. So it was impossible for him to keep his hands still. Unexpectedly, things went well. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. After buying the invisible pill, he secretly came to the vicinity of the Black Bear Company to observe the surroundings and then took the invisible pill. Then he relied on the fact no one could see him as he swaggered into the internal warehouse of the Black Bear Mansion and searched for treasures. After all, it was a black market. Drugs, monster meat, medicine, weapons, and various prohibited items, etc. were abundant. It was a pity that there were very few things he could take on his body. In the end, he picked and chose 20 bottles of golden potions. He couldn't take any other thing, so he could only give up regretfully. Finally, he found several timed micronuclear bombs in the warehouse, set the time for the explosion, and destroyed the entire Black Bear building, burying all the enemies inside. The plan went well as no one could see him. Even the culprit, Zheng Cheng, was killed by him. However, now that I've blown up the Black Bear building, I am afraid I really provoked the entire Black Bear Company. Xia Ping looked at the Black Bear building that had turned into rubble. He knew that the headquarters of the Black Bear Company was not in this place. This building was just a branch, and the bombing would not really hurt the Black Bear Company. But this will definitely irritate them. Forget it. After this, I will return to Tinshui City. I may not even return here in the future. Xia Ping rolled his eyes. If offending is inevitable, then I might as well be more ruthless. Thinking of this, he immediately used a laser gun, pulled the trigger, carved a few large characters on the ground, and placed them clearly in front of Zheng Cheng's corpse. Murder and arson, Huang. Kinag was a code name for him. Its purpose was to confuse his enemies about his identity. Okay, that's it. Taking advantage of this, I should buy a ticket and get on the bus to return to Tinshui City. Seeing these characters, Xia Ping was very satisfied. He threw away the laser gun, then grabbed a package on his body and moved towards the station. The effect of the invisible pill only had half an hour left, so he had to hurry up. Whoosh whoosh. Not long after Xia Ping left, a dozen figures came running in from the distance. They were all members of the Black Bear Company. They were patrolling the surrounding area. They all came quickly when they heard the explosion. What's going on? Our company building was blown up. A man in a black suit was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The building that was dozens of stories high was now turned into rubble, and the gang members inside all died tragically. Look, Director Zheng is also dead, and he was shot in the head. You'll also like Paid Story, Lava Cat Cruise Ship, 22.3K 1.3K. When luxury cruise liner the Silver Queen finds giant, parasitic saber-tooths on board, it's up to the captain's son to save both the ship and all of humankind. Another man in black suit looked at the corpse lying on the ground in disbelief. That man was indeed Zheng Cheng, who had the cultivation base of the 9th layer. Damn it, which bastard did it? This matter is too serious. We can't handle it. We must notify the people in the department to come over. More than a dozen men in black suits talked, their faces ugly to the extreme. They immediately took out their communicators and notified the senior leaders of the Black Bear Company headquarters to come over. Half an hour later, a suspended vehicle flew in from the air and landed on the ground. With a snap, the door opened and a group of men with formidable aura walked out from the inside. The one in the lead was an extremely fierce middle-aged man wearing a white practitioner clothes with a scar on his face. He walked out of the floating car, and a group of people stood respectfully behind him. The atmosphere was tense. He was a veteran of the Black Bear Company, Dian, a strong man who had reached the realm of martial warrior. Murder and arson, Huang. The scarred man, Dian, saw the big words in front of Zheng Cheng's corpse. With eyes full of killing intent, he said, "What guts? What guts you have? You come to my Black Bear Company to kill and set fire, and dare to leave a name. Who is this Huang?" He looked at the dozen men in black suits behind him. "I don't know, it may be a rookie." A man in a black suit said hastily, "But it is certain that he has an extremely close relationship with the traitor of our company. He killed the traitor of the company in an alley and fled with the bag. There were 20 bottles of golden potions and the secret manual worth more than $100 million in the bag. So Director Zheng issued an order to send countless masters to chase after him. But he did not expect the culprit to kill more than a dozen people, and even Director Zheng's son was tragically killed in his hands. We didn't expect that he was so frantic as to directly demolish the Black Bear Company building and blow up Director Zheng's head. He didn't expect this guy to be so cruel. Even when surrounded and almost reaching a dead end, he thought of counterattacking. The other men in black suits were very angry. No one had ever dared to provoke the Black Bear Company like this, killing their people, ruining their building, and taking their belongings. If they were still indifferent, would they still be gangsters? Good. Very good. Dian smiled with anger. He dares kill our people and takes away our treasures, and even blatantly leave a name. It seems that our Black Bear Company has been completely underestimated. Immediately post wanted notices worldwide. I don't care who he is, no matter what background he has. If he dares to come to Black Moon City and piss on my Black Bear Company's head, I will definitely not spare him. As long as someone can provide clues, reward them. As long as you find a trace, kill him. No one can offend my Black Bear Company and get away with it scot-free." With a bang, he slapped his palm on the ground. A terrifying force exploded and hit the ground fiercely. All of a sudden, a huge pit with a diameter of 5 or 6 meters appeared. The cracks in the road spread like a spider web. The whole earth vibrated, and the sound waves traveled 5 or 6 kilometers away. Yes, the group of Black Bear Company members yelled, their eyes showing extreme anger. They were underestimated to such an extent, they would not give up unless they caught this Huang. Meanwhile, Xia Ping had already boarded the train back to Tinshui City. The medicinal power of the invisible pill had now disappeared, and his figure was revealed. Before, he went to the station and waited in the toilet until the medicinal effect disappeared before boarding the train. No matter how powerful the Black Bear Company was, they only dared to wait outside and not enter the station to make trouble. After becoming an enemy of the federal government was no different than seeking death. Didi, the host, provoked a large number of enemies, causing immense anger. Hate points plus 10. Hate points plus 10. At this moment, system prompt was heard in Xia Ping's mind. Tinshui City, at Xia Ping's home, the next morning. Sunlight softly came in through the window. Phew. Sitting on his bed, Xia Ping exhaled a long white breath that almost condensed into substance. The true qi in his body surged like the tide of the sea, filling his body with explosive power. He suddenly opened his eyes and shot out a terrifying golden light. The depths of his pupils were shining with mysterious power, as if piercing through the void. After a night of practice, he also took a bottle of gold potion to improve his body. His true also increased a lot, a bit stronger than the day before, with its strength still increasing every moment. The energy contained in this gold potion is extremely pure and huge, absolutely incomparable to ordinary energy potions. Xia Ping's eyes flashed with satisfaction. Last night, he consumed a bottle of golden potion to assist his cultivation, running the pure yang immortal art. As a result, he made great progress. In just one night, it was comparable to cultivating for 3 months. The gold potion had helped him tremendously. However, the price was also very expensive. One bottle required $500,000 federal dollars. Such a price was not affordable by ordinary people. Only least the super rich could take it at will. Fortunately, going to Black Moon City this time gave me 40 bottles of gold potions. This time was really a big jackpot. Xia Ping smiled slightly. He originally wanted to go to Black Moon City to buy gold potions. But who would have thought that such a dangerous accident would happen? And he almost died in that sinful city. Fortunately, he returned safely and even got gold potions worth 20 million federal dollars. This was a huge sum of money, and even if the profits he earned from writing novels was immense, it would not come so quickly. Of course, it was also stolen money and could never be exposed. Once exposed, people from the Black Bear Company would come knocking at his door, and even the government departments would find him to settle accounts and pursue legal liabilities. He would then be in danger. But no matter what, he returned safely and even reaped great benefits, which was ultimately a good thing. I should only take 3 or 4 bottles of gold potions this month. I guess I will be able to penetrate the 6th meridian and break through to the 6th layer of martial apprentice. Xia Ping squeezed his fist. The reason why it took a month was because you couldn't take the golden medicine continuously. Too much would be harmful, and the body's absorption was also limited. Every time he took a bottle of gold potion, he needed to spend a week to cultivate in order to thoroughly digest and absorb the energy of the gold potion and consolidate his foundation. If he took too much at one time, Not only was it not good for his body, it would even damage his foundation, causing it to become unstable and making it very difficult to promote to higher realms in the future. However, is there really no way to increase the speed of the body's energy absorption? Xia Ping's eyes flickered. Although the speed of absorption of the sixth layer was already very fast, he still felt that it was not enough. After all, there was only less than 4 months before the college entrance examination. If he didn't improve his own cultivation as soon as possible, he would not be able to get a good score. He would then be unable to enter a good university. Suddenly, the voice of the system came out. Host, there are methods to increase absorption speed. What? Xia Ping was taken aback. He didn't expect the system to say so suddenly, but he calmed down quickly and immediately asked, "What is this method you say?" "There is a technique called Beiming Body Protection Technique." The system replied. "It is a supremely powerful body protection technique. It can absorb the strength, energy, etc. from the enemy's attack and convert it into the energy of the user's own body. Through the enemy's attacks and beatings, the body's cells, muscle tissue, bones, etc. are destroyed. Then a mysterious life energy can be used to continuously repair the damaged body tissues, which can greatly increase the speed at which the body absorbs energy, and the physique will also become stronger as a result. If the host practices this body protection technique and then constantly competes with and is beaten by others, the host will be able to quickly digest the body's excess energy and continue growing stronger." Beiming Body Protection Technique. Xia Ping's eyes lit up immediately. He could continue growing stronger and increase the speed of the body's energy absorption just by being beaten. What an amazing and convenient auxiliary skill this was. Even Yin Huang Star, such mysterious skills were unheard of. But if this skill was legit, then it was simply the best auxiliary skill for him. But he soon calmed down. How much hate points does this skill require? He knew that there was no such thing as free lunch in the world, and it was even more so the case for this system in his body. A total of 1 million hatred points are required to exchange for it. The system replied. The corner of Xia Ping's mouth twitched. Sure enough, how could such a powerful technique be cheap? The hate points on me is probably not enough. His expression was a little helpless. No. The system said, this is the price for redeeming a whole manual, but the host could also buy the first few level of the skill, and the rest can be exchanged later. This is a special. Xia Ping was a little dejected. When he was in Black Moon City, he killed many members of the Black Bear Company and caused a terrible disaster. Many people in the Black Bear Company hated him and brought him lots of hate points. Not only had he restored the loss from buying the invisible pill, but he also made a small profit and gained some benefits. But he didn't expect that it was still not enough, just 400 short. Right, tomorrow. Xia Ping suddenly remembered something, and his eyes lit up. Tomorrow is Monday, the day when the school fighting competition is held. At that time, I will fight on behalf of the class, and countless students will watch the battle. This is the best opportunity to pull hatred. If he wanted to get the hate points, of course the more people the better. Tomorrow was an opportunity. With his ability to attract hatred, it would be easy to get 400 hatred points. And Zhou Taian, Xia Ping squeezed his fist. You must repay me for what happened last time. His eyes glowed like blazing flames. In the morning, Tianshui City, 95th High School. At this time, students gathered on a huge field, divided into classes, and lined up. Standing densely together, the number of students in the field reached at least tens of thousands. Because this fighting competition could be regarded as an annual event in the school, it was equivalent to the sports festival on Earth. In fact, it was even more lively as students were more enthusiastic in participating. Before the start of the fighting competition, the students of the whole school would gather together, listen to the instructions of the school leaders who would assign the order of duels, and then the fighting competition would start. Because the number of participants were not very large, as only third-year students could participate, so the entire fighting competition would be over in one day without taking too much time. Xia Ping entered the school and came to the field. He quickly found his classmates. He actually saw Gao Wan and Yang Wei, who he hadn't seen for a long time. Hey brother, it's been a long time. Xia Ping immediately went up and gave his greetings. Gao Wan and Yang Wei were chatting happily. Hearing a demon-like voice in their ears, they could not help but shudder, and soon saw Xia Ping who they wished to beat up. Damn it, we hadn't seen him for a week. This Xia Ping is still so infuriating. Both of them were staring at Xia Ping and gnashing their teeth. Xia Ping didn't care. Instead, he rather enthusiastically patted them on the shoulder and asked, I didn't expect you to be released from prison so soon. Weren't you detained for 7 days? Out of prison? Out of your sister? What the hell are you talking about? Does your mouth not have a zipper? They so wished to seal his mouth up immediately. The faces of Gao Wan and Yang Wei were half black as they stared at the shameless bastard fiercely. This guy's mouth really didn't have a filter. How could someone ask if they were released from prison as soon as they meet? They were students, not criminals. Wasn't this clearly attracting the attention of other students? Originally, they wanted to cover up the incident in a low-key manner and comfortably spend the remaining months until graduation. But now that the bastard mentioned it, all their plans were ruined. Sure enough, upon hearing the words, released from prison, the surrounding students looked over curiously. Get out of prison? What the hell is going on? Did someone in our school go to jail? A student from the next class asked curiously as Xia Ping's words ignited gossip. You don't know this? Those two are named Gao Wan and Yang Wei. They're students in class 6. They were taken away by a dozen policemen and detained for 7 days because they were running naked at school the other day. I heard that these two students are perverts. Allegedly, they planned this for several years. They took advantage of this time when they were about to graduate from high school. They have really left their names in history. Few people in school don't know about them. Awesome. Not only do they do perverted things, but their names are also perverted. They're just like their names. Yang Wei has a similar pronunciation to impotency in Chinese. Gao and Wan stand for tall and pill respectively. Tall pill equals pill that makes it tall Viagra. A group of students whispered and looked at Yang Wei and Gao Wan with a strange expression. Damn it. I knew that it was nothing good to meet this bastard. When they heard the discussion of the students around them, both Gao Wan and Yang Wei felt like crying. Their reputations were completely ruined at school. By the way, you sure nothing happened in the detention center? I heard that there are a lot of beasts and gays. Xia Ping asked curiously, was it really okay for you to stay in the detention center for 7 days? Gay. Hearing this phrase, the group of students immediately started gossiping. There were criminals all over the place in prison. All of them were brutal men, and there were also gays among them. 2 fresh white flowers going into the detention center. Isn't that just sheep going into the wolf's mouth? Fuck, your sister is gay. We have nothing to do with them. Xia Ping, you bastard, don't spread rumors here. Gao Wan said angrily. His face turned green, and he could hardly wait to tear the bastard's big mouth apart. No one thought of this kind of thing until now. It's all this guy's fault. If this rumor spread, could they still have enough face to come to school? Yang Wei also glared at Xia Ping. If he didn't know that he wasn't Xia Ping's match, he would have already rushed up to beat up this shameless guy. Damn, after being detained by the police for 7 days and being surrounded by a group of brutal men, they almost lost their lives. They had never experienced such a thing in their entire lives. Before this, Yang Wei and Gao Wan were at odds with each other, but now they had developed comradeship after suffering and became best buddies. Oh, I was wrong, it was my fault. I shouldn't ask you about these tragic things. It is true that nothing happened to you. Xia Ping showed a look that said, I knew everything. The look in his eyes seemed to say that he would never reveal this secret. You know shit. Originally, there was nothing wrong. But if Xia Ping denied it, wouldn't it arouse people's suspicion? Gao Wan and Yang Wei almost went crazy. Tragic things? It seems that something really happened. Isn't it? That was the detention center. They were detained for 7 days and surrounded by a group of gays. It's hard for anything to not happen. This classmate is so selfless. He actually wants to keep the two secrets. Unfortunately, this secret cannot be kept. Everyone knows that these 2 people were detained in the detention center for 7 days. That was whole 7 days. I think their experiences could be written as a novel or made into a movie with a box office of over $100 million. No wonder I saw these 2 people collapse just now. They turned out to be exhausted. They deserved it. This is the result of their perversion. Let's see if they dare run naked at school after this. There's a price to leave your mark in history. These 2 seniors have imparted us a lesson through their past actions. A group of students sighed again and again. Looking at Gao Wan and Yang Wei, they felt as if these 2 had their mind broken by someone. They reckoned that many tragic stories must have occurred in the past 7 days. Xia Ping, we're never finished with you. Gao Wan and Yang Wei sighed up to the sky, their faces almost completely green. They decided that if they didn't teach this bastard a lesson, they would have gone to prison for nothing. Hey, isn't this Xiong Batian? He was discharged so soon. Are all his injuries healed? Xia Ping ignored Gao Wan and Yang Wei, and soon noticed Xiong Batian, who was walking over here. He quickly greeted Xiong Batian enthusiastically. This got a plague. Hearing this voice, Xiong Batian's face turned dark. Originally, he wanted to leave this place quickly and avoid this shameless bastard, but he didn't expect to be discovered by this guy, and he was stopped on the spot. How could he leave? Gao Wan and Yang Wei almost went crazy, but they were also stunned when they saw Xiong Batian appear in this place. Xia Ping, that courageous bastard, still wanted to provoke Xiong Batian. Wasn't it that your injury couldn't be cured for at least 1 month? Which hospital did you go to for treatment? Xia Ping asked curiously, looking Xiong Batian up and down. Normally, it would take at least a month for his injuries to heal, but now it had only been a week since Xiong Batian had been beaten black and blue. Obviously, it was not an ordinary treatment. This bastard was a lunatic. It was clear that he sent Xiong Batian to the hospital. He even dared to ask him where he went to get treatment. It was rumored around school that he had a hobby of poking other people's sore spots and expose their scars. Xiong Batian almost went wild. Both Gao Wan and Yang Wei were stunned. Seeing Xia Ping being so vigorous in his taunting, they didn't know why, but the anger in their hearts had mostly disappeared. This has nothing to do with you. Xiong Batian gritted his teeth. Xia Ping said with a smile, I heard that you are also participating in the fighting competition on behalf of your class this time. You better be careful. If you accidentally bump into me, you might have to go to the hospital again. Hearing his words, the surrounding students were stunned. This bastard was invincible. He couldn't rest easy without flaming someone every minute or so. Sure enough, Xiong Batian's face was flushed, and he wanted to go wild. But he still endured. If he fought here, he may damage the competition venue and would definitely be punished. He gritted his teeth and said, Okay, then I will wait for you to send me to the hospital. After that, Xiong Batian turned around and left, his face terribly blue as if it was on the verge of an explosion. Does this bastard fear that others don't hate him enough? Yang Wei was dumbfounded. He actually dared to offend Xiong Batian to death like this. Too arrogant. This guy is definitely a lunatic. Let's not fight with this madman. He's crazy. Gao Wan's face twitched. He felt that due to this kid's character, he would most likely be killed sooner or later. Maybe he didn't have to do it himself. He actually held it back. Xia Ping was surprised. He didn't expect that Xiong Batian had changed so much after entering the hospital once, and could endure Xia Ping's ridicule without doing anything. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to gain hate points, but it seemed that he could only think of other ways. At this time, Xiao Shue, the head teacher, came over and said, "Line up immediately. The competition is about to begin." After listening, people lined up according to their student numbers. It didn't take long for the school fighting competition to begin. School leaders sat on the stage and gave speeches, and then the principal gave a speech. But fortunately, it was over in 1 minute and didn't take too long. Finally, student representative Jiang Yaru will give a speech. The host on the stage said loudly. After speaking, Jiang Yaru walked out from behind the stage and stood at the forefront. Her appearance immediately aroused the cheers of the whole school. "She's so beautiful. This is our school goddess Jiang Yaru." Sure enough, it's a well-deserved reputation with that look, temperament, and figure. If you can marry such a woman, it would be your luck from several lifetimes. Don't dream. She had a boyfriend since long ago, and it is rumored that she is now pregnant. What? It's not true, right? Who is her boyfriend? I will go over and kill him immediately. It is said to be her classmate, and the two are apparently childhood sweethearts. I heard that her boyfriend is simply a scumbag, riding a dozen boats, and other schools seem to have his girlfriends. Jiang Yaru is just one of them. There are even several who are pregnant and are still discussing whether to abort. A beast. Her boyfriend is not even as good as a beast. He is not satisfied with the goddess. He actually rides a dozen more boats, and even made high school girls want to abort. How'd he do it? Are those women blind? Yes, it said that he has an ordinary background, middle class, and his father is just a city manager. His appearance is not outstanding, and his grades are also ordinary. I can't figure out how he did it. Of course you wouldn't understand. To tell you the truth, this kind of man is the most dangerous. He looks ordinary, as if he is harmless to humans and animals. This appearance made those beauties lose their guard, thinking that the other party was good-natured. Thus they were taken prisoner. They did not realize that such men are the most dangerous. It makes a lot of sense. Although handsome guys have a great advantage, when a woman sees a handsome guy, she can't help but feel that the other person may be a player and subconsciously puts him in a blacklist. From this perspective, handsome guys also face disadvantageous conditions. Damn, so ordinary men like me can also have a chance? Ahem, well, a man with a big jaw like yours has a slim chance. Don't spout nonsense. Just say who is Jiang Yaru's boyfriend. He seems to be called Xia Ping, who defeated Xiong Batian before. It turns out that it's that bastard. I'll find someone to ambush him after school. Many students talked a lot. They were full of resentment towards Xia Ping, and some even want to make this scum disappear completely. Goddess like Jiang Yaru could not be defiled by that animal. Xia Ping, who was standing his class's line, suddenly heard the system constantly prompting. It has been detected that someone nearby has negative emotions towards the host. Some even have killing intent. Hate point +1. Hate point +1. What the hell is going on? I haven't done anything. So how did I attract hatred? Xia Ping looked depressed. This situation was too weird, and it was completely unwarranted disaster. Jiang Yaru, the reason should be her. Xia Ping suddenly remembered what happened a few days ago. The scandals between himself and Jiang Yaru were all over the sky, causing many people to hate him. Sure enough, taunting is out of date. Picking up girls is the best way to pull hatred. Xia Ping stoked his chin. It seemed that Jiang Yaru provided him with a chance to gain a lot of hate points. A few minutes later, Jiang Yaru finished his speech, and then the host announced the official start of the school fighting competition. With a ding sound, all of a sudden, Xia Ping's mobile phone received the information for school. It was the schedule of today's fighting competition and the list of the duels between participants. What? The first match, Xia Ping versus Zhou Taian. This news swept throughout the entire school, including Xia Ping's 6th class. The first match, me and Zhou Taian. When Xia Ping saw this schedule, his pupils shrank a little. He felt that sooner or later he would meet Zhou Taian, but he didn't expect him to be his opponent in the first match. The schedule of this school fighting competition was to follow the Tianshui City High School fighting competition system. It adopted a knockout system, and one game would determine the winner. There were 27 classes in the whole 3rd year, and each class selected 10 people to compete. Among them, a dozen of them quit the competition because of accidents and did not participate. As a result, there were exactly 256 people this time. The first round consisted of a total of 128 matches, and those who won would advance. There would be 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, and finally the match that would determine the champion. To become a champion, you needed to win in all 8 matches. However, in the random selection of more than 100 contestants, he happened to face Zhou Taian in the first match. Was this just a coincidence? Xia Ping will face Zhou Taian in the first match? Really unlucky. He will be out before it even starts. It's okay to be out, but do you remember what happened last Friday? Zhou Taian made it clear that he wanted to teach Xia Ping a lesson. This is a rare opportunity. Xia Ping would definitely be miserable. Isn't it? As soon as he goes up the ring, he will probably be severely injured and sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Although there are referees who can stop it in time, a delay of 1 second is enough. The power of a punch is enough to make Xia Ping crippled. It is not like this has never happened before. But it's such a coincidence that Xia Ping and Zhou Taian met in the first game. This is not a coincidence. It is said that Zhou Taian has relations with the school. It is rumored that he walked through the back door and asked the teacher, who manages the back-end data, to modify it slightly. Such results are normal. Indeed, just changing the order of the duel in a school event is not too difficult. The students in Class 6 were all talking, looking at Xia Ping with pity. This kid had offended Zhou Taian. It was really bad luck. Deserves it. This bastard deserves it. Gao Wan and Yang Wei looked at each other, seeing the joy in each other's eyes. Damn, someone finally took action to clean up this shameless Xia Ping. This was God's will. God knew how badly they were bullied by Xia Ping. They were even sent to prison, and their reputation was worse than shit. When they came to school this morning, they were even thrown eggs at by the roadside aunties. Encountering such nightmare, one could imagine how much they hated Xia Ping and dreamed all night to make him taste the humiliation they had received. It's all right now. He was targeted at by Zhou Taian, the king of this school. Xia Ping would definitely lose a layer of skin, even if he didn't die this time. Gao Wan and Yang Wei were both delighted. They had already figured it out. Once Xia Ping was beaten and sent to the hospital, they would pretend to visit him. They would ridicule him in person and splash him with shit to show him how powerful they were. Boom! When the school announced the start of the fighting competition, huge silver boxes were brought in by black heavy trucks around the stadium and placed on the ground. With a few clicks, a staff member pressed a button, and the huge silver box immediately transformed into a small ring with a length and width of 10 meters. Next to this small metal arena, there were even auditoriums large enough to accommodate 200 to 300 spectators, and high-definition cameras were installed around them. Even people who couldn't get in to watch the scene could still see the video inside through this extremely technologically advanced high-definition 360 degrees camera. That was a mouthful. There were a total of 128 of such small metal arenas. These were all leased by the school from other companies for today's competition. They were densely scattered all around the school playground. Because the school sports field was huge, these arenas could be easily accommodated. In just half an hour, the entire venue was arranged by the staff. This was the power of science and technology that didn't require much manpower and material resources. Please enter the ring immediately. The match will start after 15 minutes. If you miss the match time, it will be regarded as an automatic surrender. A sweet announcer's voice came from the school broadcast. Whoosh whoosh. Hearing this, the students on the playground, as well as the contestants, all started to move and walk towards the ring where they were located. Each ring above had its own logo and was easy to find. I seem to be on the 88th ring, which is a lucky number. Xia Ping read the game information and walked towards the 88th ring. He immediately discovered that too many students had gathered in the 88th ring, not only students from the 6th grade, but also students from other classes and even a large number of girls. They surrounded this ring, 3 floors inside and 3 outside. It was bustling, but the other rings were only watched by 3 or 2 people, which seemed very desolate. It seemed that most of the audience were attracted to this place. They couldn't help it. The person who would fight in this ring was Zhou Taian. He was the school idol of 95th High School. Girls adored him. Not to mention that there was the rumor about Xia Ping and Jian Yaru's relationship. This match was a battle between love rivals. No matter the topic or the excitement, it was not comparable to other games. Many students want to come and see what was so great about this legendary scumbag who made the school flower pregnant, rode on a dozen boats, and started playing with women at the age of 9. Look, Zhou Taian is here. A girl screamed, and immediately caused many other girls to cheer. They saw a young man walking in the distance, wearing a white suit and with waxed hair. He looked very chic, just like a Prince Charming from many girls' dreams. This person was Zhou Taian. There were dozens of followers behind him. He gave a vast and mighty aura. Compared with ordinary students, he was an extraordinary existence and was extremely dazzling. Step aside, Zhou Taian said coldly to the audience in front of him. With a clatter, the surrounding crowd, like an army, immediately separated and created a path. The surrounding students admired him even more. He was worthy of being the king of the school. This domineering aura was simply not comparable to ordinary students. Many girls were screaming with adoration. With a bang, Zhou Taian jumped, and the whole ground vibrated. There were 2 clearly visible footprints, and the cement floor cracked. At the same time, he produced a terrific sonic boom and jumped more than 10 meters. With a thud, he landed on the ring elegantly and as light as a feather, as if nothing happened just now. So strong, really too strong. Is this the power of the 6th layer? You can jump more than 10 meters and have a terrifying amount of power with just 1 punch. The group of students was shocked. They were ordinary people, and he was a genius. There was no comparison. The gap was too wide. Just now he told us to move away, not because he was afraid of being hindered from entering the arena, but because he was afraid that we would hinder him and be hurt by the strong aftershock after he jumped. He's so caring. A brain-dead fangirl idiotically said. He's the perfect boyfriend. Only such a man is worthy of being the school idol. Sure enough, Zhou Taian is the star of our school. I have fallen in love with him. When I saw this majestic man, I could not sleep for 3 nights. At this moment, Xia Ping walked lazily, with his hands held behind his back, along the path which was created for Zhou Taian as everyone separated. He was immediately noticed by the students around him. What's the matter with this person? Do you know any shame? He actually took advantage of this moment to sneak into the audience. He really doesn't know any rules. A student was dissatisfied, thinking that Xia Ping was trying to sneakily occupy the best spot. After all, too many people had come here to watch, and it was very difficult to find a place to watch the match. Therefore, the first few people who entered would have a place. If all the places were occupied, you could only stand outside and watch it live using the mobile phone streaming software. This was, of course, very different from watching the scene personally. Another student immediately said, he is not a spectator, but Zhou Taian's opponent Xia Ping. What? This kid is Xia Ping. A group of students looked over curiously, because this was Jiang Yaru's rumored boyfriend and Zhou Taian's rival in love. It was said that this time, in order to deal with this guy, Zhou Taian relied on his relationship with the school to change the order of the duels. The purpose was to teach this Xia Ping a profound lesson. For such legendary characters, the students on the scene were all curious. It seems that this guy is ordinary, with exaggerated footsteps, and his martial arts foundation is not solid. He is not a great person at all. Such a person is Zhou Taian's opponent? Are you kidding me? Of course he's not an opponent at all. Zhou Taian came to deal with him to give a warning. What kind of character is Jiang Yaru? She can't be touched by the likes of him. So Big Brother Zhou has only one purpose for this match, and that is to beat him up so that he can no longer take care of himself and would never dare to appear in front of Jiang Yaru again. TSK, poor fellow. It's his misfortune for offending Zhou Taian. It is said that Brother Zhou has another purpose, and that is to kill the chickens to warn the monkeys. He wants to take this opportunity to warn other people who have ideas about Jiang Yaru. This kid is just an example to be made of. After today, you may never see Xia Ping again. Many students looked at Xia Ping, who walked past the ring step by step, with pity. They didn't think that Xia Ping had any chance of winning. After all, what kind of figure was Zhou Taian? He was this school's king, and had the strength of the 6th layer. He was at least in the top 10 of school. How could an ordinary student be his opponent? Even if this kid was lucky and got the favor of the school flower, and used his rhetoric to win the schoolgirl's heart, his strength could not be faked. There was no room for fraud. Once Xia Ping was in the ring, they estimated that only one punch by Zhou Taian would completely decimate him. At this time, Xia Ping stepped up the ring. His movements were ordinary and unremarkable as he came up to the ring and stood in front of Zhou Taian. The two were separated by 5 or 6 meters as they faced each other. Zhou Taian crossed both of his hands across his chest and looked at Xia Ping indifferently. I didn't expect that you would really dare to come up to the ring. You didn't run away with your tail between your legs. You do have a bit of courage. But don't think that I will be merciful. As I said before, I will definitely teach you a lesson and let you see the gap between a genius and an ordinary person, and let you realize that there's an insurmountable gap between us. There are some things in this world that an ordinary person like you cannot dare to covet. Grit your teeth and close your eyes. This will reduce the pain a little bit. Otherwise, all the bones in your whole body will be broken by me in an instant. The killing intent in his words was chilling. Before Xiong Batian spoke to me like this, but he was beaten by me with one punch, and he was carried away by like a dead dog. He was unconscious and lay in the hospital for a week. Xia Ping said lightly, Xiong Batian doesn't have the qualifications to be compared with me, Zhou Taian. Zhou Taian sneered, I, Zhou Taian, have opened 6 meridians, and I am in the 6th layer of martial apprentice. I have practiced the intermediate martial skill, 5 mountains fist to the realm of perfection. I am ranked at least in the top 10 of the entire school. What is Xiong Batian? A brash man with a bit of strength. I didn't deal with him before because he didn't threaten my dominance in school. An ordinary guy like you has too little vision. How can you know the big world of martial arts? 3 years ago, I was fortunate enough to meet a real martial artist, join the Wu Wei boxing gym, and listen to his advice. Fighting with many senior brothers in the boxing gym, I sharpened my boxing skills. I even went out with a master to practice in the field, beheading monsters, being injured, and seeing blood. That is why I reached the 6th layer of martial apprentice so quickly. A greenhouse flower like you, let alone the realm of the martial apprentice 4th layer. Even if you reach the 6th layer, how strong would you be compared to me? I could easily wipe the floor with you. As simple as trampling on an ant. After that sentence, he showed his unparalleled confidence and completely tried to crush Xia Ping's morale. Referee. Having said that, Zhou Taian turned his head to the referee next to him and said, let's announce the start of the match. I don't want to waste so much time. After dealing with this waste, I still have more important things to do, understood? Well, let the match begin now. The referee teacher also nodded and immediately announced the start of the match. Boy, feel it. This is absolute power. Feel this with your body. This is something that the school teachers can't teach. As soon as his voice fell, Zhou Taian shot out. With a bang, he stomped his feet, and the resulting momentum made his whole body soar. He was like an insurmountable mountain, full of thick and solid, unparalleled, domineering aura. Intermediate martial skill, 5 mountains fist. Zhou Taian's fist exploded with terrifying power, creating a sonic boom and shaking the air vigorously, as if Mount Tai was pressing down. This punch was much stronger than the one by Xiong Batian. Even the students under the ring could feel the weight of this punch. There was nowhere to hide. It's amazing. This is Brother Zhou's Five Mountains fist. With such a punch, even a buffalo would be beaten into meat sauce. A student admired. Xiong Batian has quite some power, but compared with Big Brother Zhou, he is not even worth a fart. This kid is finished. This punch alone is enough to shock his soul and scare him so that he can't move his body. Someone shook his head and looked at Xia Ping with pity. He still wants to fight Big Brother Zhou. He really doesn't know how to write the character for death. After this time, he would probably never dare to learn martial arts again. This is the gap between a genius and an ordinary person. Many students sneered at Xia Ping. No one thought that Xia Ping had any hope of victory. The only ending was to be sent to the hospital, and the only uncertainty was how long it would take for him to get out. Zhou Taian, you really let me down. You don't know what martial arts is. Xia Ping sighed. His mental power spread over a radius of 20 meters, and he understood Zhou Taian's every move. Although Zhou Taian's attack seemed perfect and terrifying to other people, under his mental power detection, there were so many flaws, like an inexperienced child. Actually, he didn't blame Zhou Taian. It's that Xia Ping was now much stronger than before. After Black Moon City and his rampage there, his strength had grown rapidly. The mental power possessed by him could not be compared to ordinary students. Boom! Dragon Fist of Five-Form Fist. Shenlong goes to sea. Shenlong equals Divine Dragon. Xia Ping squeezed his fist and slammed it. In an instant, it seemed that the entire space resounded with the roar of a dragon, and the airflow seemed to condense into a prototype of a dragon, exuding supreme majesty and shocking many souls. The students around the ring felt their blood speeding up. They were trembling and their hearts were beating fiercely. The air produced ripples visible to the naked eye. They were stunned by this roar from the void. What is this? Zhou Taian's expression changed drastically. He only felt that Xia Ping's fist was terrifying, and Xia Ping's punch happened to attack the flaw in his Five Mountains fist, leaving him with almost no defense. Even the power of his fist was extremely terrifying, like a roaring dragon, condescending and stunning the heavens and all the races. It was simply so powerful that it was as if there was no one qualified to be its enemy. With a bang, Zhou Taian couldn't resist it at all, and his chest was hit by this punch. The punch was like a meteorite, bursting out with a flood of immense strength. What? Zhou Taian couldn't help but let out a scream and spit out a mouthful of blood. 3 or 4 of his ribs were broken as his body was blasted out like a ping-pong ball. But when Zhou Taian's body was flying in the air, Xia Ping jumped up. He turned into a white crane, generating strong jumping power, and with a fierce kick, stepped on Zhou Taian's chest with a huge burst of force. With a bang, Zhou Taian's body was smashed from a high altitude into the titanium alloy metal ring, making a human-shaped pit on the floor. Immediately, the entire arena produced huge vibrations, and many people were directly shaken out of their chairs. The titanium alloy ring also cracked one after another, and even split into 2 halves, making a clicking sound. This is Five Form's fist. The group of students stared in a daze, almost scared to death. They had also learned Five Form's fist, but it was just ordinary basic skill. They had never thought that Five Form's fist had such a fierce and unparalleled power. It was just a punch, but it was like a meteorite hitting the ground. The dragon roared and Mount Tai collapsed. It easily shattered Zhou Taishan's defenses and beat him into a dead dog. Is this still something a human can resist? Both Yang Wei and Gao Wan were almost scared to the point of pissing their pants. When did Xia Ping become so pervertedly strong? It seemed that he was several times stronger than just a week ago. The form of the dragon was too scary. Xia Ping's classmates from the 6th class also lost their composure. This was not the Xia Ping they knew at all. He was almost a real martial arts master now. The referee teacher was also stunned. How could a student master such a terrifying martial arts? Even the ring was decimated to the point of collapse. You. Zhou Taian struggled. He looked at Xia Ping in shock, as if he had seen this man for the first time. There was severe pain in his body. A dozen ribs were broken, and his lungs were severely injured. He couldn't believe this fact at all. He was a powerhouse in the 6th layer of martial apprentice realm. How could the opponent defeat him with just a single punch? What was that power just now? You are not in the 4th layer of martial apprentice. Have you been promoted to the 5th layer? Zhou Taian stared at Xia Ping with his eyes bleeding and fist tightly squeezed. I said, you don't know what real martial arts is. Xia Ping stood with his hands folded, taking a master in the martial warrior realm, practicing to the 6th layer, going out of the city to kill monsters, seeing blood, and having some combat experience. You think you are very strong? How complacent. You, Zhou Taian, are nothing but a frog at the bottom of a well. This world is bigger than you think. Hearing Xia Ping's condescending words, Zhou Taian was mad. These words were what he had said to Xia Ping before. He didn't expect that he would be slapped by his own words. He was just beating himself in the face and humiliate himself completely. If he could easily defeat Xia Ping, then this would be nothing. But now he was beaten black and blue by Xia Ping, who he despised. Didn't it mean that everything he did was useless? He was simply a waste, and what he said was just shit. Plus, if so, what right does he have to teach Xia Ping? And what right does he have to despise Xia Ping? Xia Ping died for me. Zhou Taian's face was distorted, and the true energy inside his body boiled like crazy. With a bang, He rushed over like a desperate tiger. Even if he sacrificed his life, he would tear Xia Ping to pieces. This is a bit ugly. Just get out. Xia Ping shot out quickly like lightning. He slapped Zhou Taian fiercely on the face. His slap contained terrifying power and made the air tremble. With a bang, Zhou Taian's body rotated 5 or 6 times in the air. 3 of his front teeth flew out, mixed with blood, and his face quickly became red and swollen. With a snap, Zhou Taian fell to the ground. He was foaming at the mouth, his eyes were white, and his face was red and swollen like a pig's head, no longer as handsome as before. At this time, he was already unable to move, and his whole body was full of severe pain. Zhou Taian, have you accepted it? Xia Ping was condescending, looking down at him like this. I don't accept it, I don't accept it. Zhou Taian yelled in grief. He wanted to attack Xia Ping, but he couldn't even lift a finger. Shame. This was simply a great shame. He was a dignified and powerful man in the 6th layer. He could be called the king of the school. He had dozens of henchmen and many admirers. But he was just beaten by a bastard he looked down upon. He was so humiliated that his face had swollen up. How could he bear such a result? How could he possibly bear it? Seeing Zhou Taian so sad and indignant, the surrounding audience also felt the same and a little sympathetic. This is too much. Even if you win, do you have to humiliate Zhou Taian like this? That's right, this Xia Ping's character is too bad. Isn't it? Everyone is in the same school anyway. Does he really have to go this far? He won, and still asks if he accepts it. This is obviously to sprinkle salt on his wounds. Many students were talking and glaring at Xia Ping, thinking that he had done too much. Noisy, standing on the arena, Xia Ping stood with his hands folded behind him and glanced at the surrounding audience lightly. If you are not convinced, come up and fight. I can even offer you a handicap of only using one hand. He was sneering in his heart. So Zhou Taian could humiliate him, but he couldn't. Why? Is it because he was a top student, because he was handsome and had a superior family background? So Xia Ping deserved to be humiliated? It was such a joke. If you had the courage to provoke him, you had to bear the corresponding consequences. The students around were afraid to speak. They all felt the terrifying aura emanating from Xia Ping, like a fierce tiger ready to eat someone. It was extremely terrifying. Even a powerful person like Zhou Taian in the 6th layer could not stop this man's punch. He slapped Zhou Taian away like a fly, and even cracked the titanium alloy ring. They felt pure terror. If ordinary students like them went up and the other party just lightly breathed, they would be seriously injured. They would just be seeking death, so no one dared go up. Everyone was silent and afraid to speak. Yes. Does anyone dare to come up and spar with me? Xia Ping stood with his hands folded and scanned the audience around him, his tone containing supreme majesty. Is it you, or you? He immediately pointed to the 3 students who had shouted the loudest. At the same time, the mental power in his body rushed out vigorously and covered the 3 students. The 3 students immediately felt the air become bloody, as if a fierce tiger rushed in front of them to bite off their necks. The illusion was extremely realistic. You'll also like Paid Story, Lava Cat Cruise Ship, 22.4K, 1.3K. When luxury cruise liner the Silver Queen finds giant, parasitic saber-tooths on board, it's up to the captain's son to save both the ship and all of humankind. They were just ordinary students, flowers in a greenhouse. When had they ever seen such a terrible scene? They were so scared that their heart collapsed. No, it's not me, it's not me. Forgive me, forgive me. The 3 students screamed desperately, their faces pale. They were so frightened that they backed back again and again. Their bodies were trembling, and their pants were wet as they fell on their seats and dared not move. Scared to the point of peeing their pants. The spectators around were dumbfounded. Just by being stared at by Xia Ping, they were shocked to such an extent. How terrible was this guy? Was he even human? The students around shivered. Looking at Xia Ping's eyes, they couldn't help but show fear. No guts. Xia Ping looked at these students indifferently. With this ability, you dare to challenge me? You guys are very loud. Even if you come with real guns and live ammunition, you still wouldn't be able to beat me. Fuck, this shameless Xia Ping was too dirty. The group of students turned green with anger and they were trembling all over. They had never been insulted like this in public. It was extremely hateful. This person was simply a scumbag. Too annoying, this Xia Ping is really a scumbag. Sooner or later this kind of people will be struck by lightning. Everyone just wait and see. Who will seek justice against this bully? It's horrible. Openly harassing many men and women. This Xia Ping is a beast. When school is over, everyone should knock some sense into him. Many students were so angry that their nostrils let out smoke. They wanted to go up and teach Xia Ping a lesson. But after weighing their own strength, they didn't dare move. They could only give up. But they cursed Xia Ping vehemently in private, as if they couldn't wait to murder him. Both Gao Wan and Yang Wei were stunned. Shit, this guy was simply a person who was naturally hated. They felt that they were not deliberately targeted by him before. This kind of thing happened entirely because of the bastard's nasty character. The students in class 6 also twitched at the corners of their mouths. They could be regarded as having witnessed Xia Ping's ability to provoke hatred. From a certain point of view, this fellow was definitely a genius. Cough. Okay, don't quarrel. Seeing that the situation was not good, the referee immediately stepped forward and coughed a few times. He announced the result of the match. Now that student Zhou Taian is no longer able to fight, I announce the winner is Xia Ping. No, I can still fight. I can fight. I didn't lose. I didn't lose at all. Zhou Taian yelled with great unwillingness. He would not admit that he lost to Xia Ping. Too noisy. With a bang, Xia Ping shot out, and Zhou Taian fainted with a slap. After doing all this, he clapped his hands and with great satisfaction said, "It's fine now. This guy won't continue to make noise." The referee teacher looked speechless, but he couldn't accuse Xia Ping of doing this. After all, technically the match would go on until one side surrendered or fainted. Shameless. This Xia Ping is too shameless. How could he stun Brother Zhou? It's obviously revenge. What a shameless bastard. Taking advantage of the situation. This disgusting guy will get retribution sooner or later. A group of students cursed Xia Ping viciously. They were stunned by Xia Ping's actions. They had never seen such a bastard. He even attacked someone who couldn't move. "Come over and move Zhou Taian away," the referee teacher ordered. Whoosh whoosh. Soon, a few students came up from below and quickly carried the unconscious Zhou Taian away. With a few beeps, Xia Ping heard the system prompt in his mind. Hate point +1, hate point +1. Not bad. I didn't expect to get more than 300 hate points this time. 100 is enough to exchange for Beiming Body Protection skill. Xia Ping touched his chin. It seems I'm still a bit short of points. The news that Zhou Taian was defeated by Xia Ping quickly spread throughout the school. Shocking news. Zhou Taian was defeated. What? Really? Wasn't Zhou Taian the favorite to win this time? How was he defeated? The one who defeated him was the scumbag Xia Ping. What? Isn't that guy in the 4th layer? How could he defeat Zhou Taian? This news is outdated. That kid has long been promoted to the 5th layer, and he is very powerful. I also saw that match. Zhou Taian was so miserable that his face was swollen from humiliation. If it was a bit more serious, he would probably have to undergo plastic surgery to restore his original appearance. It is said that Xia Ping was despicable and shameless. Even if Zhou Taian could not fight back, he still beat him, humiliated him, and spit on him. If it weren't for the teacher stopping him in time, Zhou Taian would probably be kicked to death. Shit, he still attacked someone who couldn't fight back. Is he a demon? Many students talked about it, and they were shocked by the news. It swept throughout the whole school in an instant, and there was almost no one who didn't know about it. Zhou Taian's reputation was really too big. He could be called the Prince Charming of a 95th high school and the school idol. This time he was the favorite to win the championship. But now he was defeated by an unknown student, and he was severely humiliated in the ring. The news was too sensational, and it was impossible for anyone to fail to hear it. There were heated discussions throughout the arena, but the attention to other matches was much less. Half an hour later, the second round began. This time, 128 people had been eliminated, and the number of arenas had been reduced by half. A bunch of people gathered on the 75th ring, because this match was between Xia Ping and another opponent, and everyone was curious about how strong Xia Ping really was. The opponent had a bald head with muscles all over his body, and he was very tall. He had the cultivation base of the 5th layer. He felt a little flattered to see so many people coming to watch his game. At the same time, his vanity was also greatly satisfied. Bald head, kill Xia Ping. Don't let him be so arrogant. That's right. Let Xia Ping's face be swollen to the point his parents wouldn't recognize him. Bald head, I support you. You must defeat him. That Xia Ping is simply a beast. If you don't beat him, bald head, would you still be a human? A group of students desperately supported the bald contestant. They were very angry at Xia Ping. The kid was simply a demon, despicable and lawless. How could someone support a shameless person like this? Therefore, they all hoped that someone could give this Xia Ping a lesson and let them let out a sigh of relief. Hearing their support, the bald student became extremely proud. When had he been so popular, such support, such cheers, it was almost like being a hero. He stared at Xia Ping, squeezed his fists, and said grimly, "Xia Ping, you." Before the bald student could speak, Xia Ping waved his hand and said, "Don't talk to me, and don't tell me your name. I'm not interested in you at all. Anyway, you can be taken care of with just one punch. Remembering your name is a waste of my time and brain capacity." Even Zhou Taian, a powerhouse in the 6th layer, was easily defeated by him, and this opponent who was in the 5th layer was simply not his match. He could finish this with just one punch. "What did you say?" The bald student crooked his nose and almost let out smoke from his head out of anger. To this kid, he was a little character who wasn't even worth remembering. Even if you look down on people, there is a limit. The audience was in an uproar. Although they knew that Xia Ping was extremely arrogant, they didn't expect him to be so extreme. He didn't even bother remembering their names and look down on people so much. "Xia Ping, you said you can finish me with just one punch. Are you kidding me?" The bald student was furious and angry. "This time I must defeat you and break all your limbs so that you can finally see Mount Tai." With a bang, the referee announced the start of the match. He pounced like a hungry wolf, brandishing his hands fiercely like wolf claws. He tore through the air, and at the same time his feet vibrated and his figure flickered. He was proficient in the intermediate martial skill, 18 Hungry Wolf styles. Each of these 18 styles was a killer move, possessing terrifying power and moving quickly and strangely. He cultivated to a high level and could tear rocks with one claw. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, on the entire arena, there were 5 or 6 afterimages. Each afterimage was like a hungry wolf, exuding a vicious aura. Although he was only one person, he was able to display the power of a pack of wolves, which was enough to shred all prey. But such speed, in front of the rendition of heaven and earth, was simply cheap tricks. The speed he prided himself on was as slow as a baby in Xia Ping's eyes. Boom! Xia Ping's expressionlessly punched out. His fist silently penetrated the ghost of countless hungry wolves and hit the bald student's head fiercely. Thousands of kilograms of force burst, like a flood bursting through a riverbank. What? The pupils of the bald-headed student showed horror, and he screamed. The bridge of his nose was instantly shattered, and his whole body was blown out like a ping-pong ball. With a bang, he flew directly in the air for 20 to 30 meters, and finally slammed into the ground outside, causing the surrounding audience to exclaim. Then the bald student fainted on the spot. The students around were silent, dumbfounded, and could no longer scream. He really defeated the bald student with a single punch. Although this kid was a bit arrogant, his strength was not fake. I already said it. I can finish this with one punch. Xia Ping stood with his hand folded behind his back, revealing the appearance of a martial arts master. But I don't blame him. It's not that he is weak. I'm just too strong. I guess there is no one in school who can defend against my punch. Is this the feeling of invincibility? It's too lonely at the top. An aura of loneliness exuded from his body. It seemed like a martial arts master standing on the top of the mountain and unable to find an opponent. Crap, this is too much. I might just die from anger. He is only at the 5th layer, and he dares say that he is invincible. This school is better off without him. He is simply polluting the school's environment. Damn, I never wanted to hit someone so much before now. A group of students were mad at Xia Ping's arrogant attitude and his hate point soared. A bastard in the 5th layer of martial apprentice dared to say that he was invincible. The whole school couldn't wait to punch him. But no matter how angry these students were, Xia Ping's opponents in the 3rd and 4th rounds were only at the 5th layer. They were easily beaten by Xia Ping without being able to resist for even a second. In this way, Xia Ping directly entered the top 16. Didi. At this time, a system prompt came. Congratulations to the host for attracting a lot of hatred. This time you have obtained 453 hate points. I hope the host will continue to work hard. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. 453 hate points? Including what I had preciously saved up, can I now exchange for the 1st layer of Beiming Body Protection Technique? Yes. Do you want to exchange it now? The system asked. Xia Ping nodded. Exchange it. He also wanted to see how amazing this technique was. Boom. Suddenly, there was a warm current flowing throughout his body, and there seemed to be a loud voice in his mind. There's a fish in the North Ming, and its name is Kuan. Kuan is so big, I don't know how many kilometers it is. It turns into a bird. Its name is Peng. The back of the Peng spans thousands of miles, and its wings are like clouds hanging down from the sky. A sentence of exercise formula flowed into his mind. Countless mysterious and profound insights merged into his body, and he immediately seemed to instinctively master the cultivation method of this Beiming Body Protection Technique. This is Beiming Body Protection Technique. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. He felt that when he was using this mysterious technique, the true qi in his body was surging, and a thin layer of true qi appeared on the surface of his body. Like flowing water, it covered every corner of his body, exuding strange and wonderful waves. With just this layer of flowing shield, he felt that his defense had become extremely powerful. It seemed that even if a laser gun hit his body, he would only be a little bit weakened. If this skill reached an extremely high level, he estimated that he would be unscathed even when bombed by a missile. However, I won't know the power of this technique without trying it. Xia Ping stroked his chin. The next match will be between the top 16. Why not try this technique then? After half an hour, the venue was organized. Only 16 huge arenas remained, and the others were moved away. Now, after a morning full of duels, the school's top 16 had been decided. Xia Ping was standing on the ring, and his opponents were not like the previous small fries. Those who could enter the top 16 had the strength to back it up. This time his opponent was Tao Yun, a martial artist of the 6th layer. He had practiced an intermediate martial skill, and was no less powerful than Zhou Taian. Tao Yun, I heard that your strength is no less than Zhou Taian. Xia Ping asked Tao Yun. Tao Yun was a little flattered, because whenever this guy got on the ring, he never talked to his opponents as he always decimated them with a single fierce punch. But now Xia Ping actually talked to him and even called his name. He didn't know why, but he felt like a little deer bumping into a fierce predator. He suddenly shouted in a panic. What's wrong? I am indeed as strong as Zhou Taian. Do you have any problems? Speaking towards the end, he looked a little weak and seemed lacking in confidence. There was just no other way. He blamed Xia Ping for being too cruel. Even a strong man like Zhou Taian was beaten into a dead dog. He could not afford to be an enemy of this kid. He heard that Zhou Taian had been sent to a nearby hospital for emergency treatment. He had 13 of his ribs broken and had his lungs injured. He would be bedridden for at least a month. He had considerable self-confidence due to his own strength and thought that he would not lose out to Zhou Taian. But facing this unreasonable Xia Ping, he could not muster any courage. Xia Ping was also a little speechless when he saw Tao Yun's sullen face. It looked like he was a big bad wolf bullying a little white rabbit. He waved his hand and said, "Don't be afraid. I won't bully you. It's just that defeating my opponent with only one punch is really too boring, and I just can't get interested. So, I'll just stand here and won't lift a finger. Come and beat me. As long as you can knock me out of the ring, you win. He said with a sincere expression. What? Tao Yun was dumbfounded and didn't understand what Xia Ping meant. What was this guy talking about? He actually said that he would let me beat him on... I wouldn't move a finger? Is this kid crazy? He didn't understand. But the audience around them all understood. They were all in an uproar. Damn, Xia Ping wants to go against the heavens. Standing there and letting the opponent attack without defending. How arrogant does he want to be? He is only at the 5th layer. Facing an opponent of the 6th layer, he dared to be so arrogant. Since he wants to die, just fulfill his wish. This guy doesn't know how to live. It seems like power go to his head, and he really thinks that he is some invincible powerhouse. Standing there without retaliating, Xia Ping is sure to be destroyed with just one punch. Tao Yun kill him, sees this great opportunity while his head is muddled. Many students were in an uproar, and all of them were furious. This kid looked down on people and always found new ways to humiliate them. Now, he didn't even bother moving his fists and just let his opponent wantonly attack him. His classmates, including Gao Wan and Yang Wei, were also dumbfounded. They thought that this kid was crazy. Even if he was arrogant, there still had to be a limit. How much did he look down on people? Do you really mean it? Tao Yun looked at Xia Ping with a bit of suspicion, thinking if this was a trap. Xia Ping said impatiently, will you fight or not? If you don't fight, I will beat you and break 5 of your ribs. He stared at Tao Yun fiercely. Intimidated, Tao Yun was half dead in fright and his face was pale. He nodded repeatedly. I'll start now. At this time, the referee announced the start of the match. Tao Yun immediately rushed up and slapped with his palm. He displayed the first move of the intermediate skill, Cloud Palm. It was as smooth as flowing water and moving clouds. The whole air surged with terrible power. However, Xia Ping stood motionless with his hands behind him. He really won't retaliate and just let me attack? Upon seeing this, Tao Yun was overjoyed. If this was the case, then he definitely had a chance of winning this match. After all, he was a powerhouse in the 6th layer. How could he not want to fight against a person who was only in the 5th layer? Since the other party underestimated him, he deserved to be taught a lesson. Boom tilde tilde. His palm slap fiercely bombarded Xia Ping's body. The power of the cloud palm exploded as it made a drumming sound. The entire ring seemed to be shaken by the power of the palm. That's an amazing palm slap. A student was shocked and said, I think Tao Yun has already cultivated this martial skill to the realm of perfection. His palm contains the ultimate gentle and flowing power. Its destructive power is also extremely terrifying. His palm can most likely shatter even rocks into innumerable pieces. It's no wonder his strength is comparable to Zhou Taian. Isn't it so? Another tall student was shocked and said with a serious tone, although Tao Yun looks very weak, he is also a powerhouse in the 6th layer. This strength is not what ordinary students can achieve. Comparatively, Xia Ping is too arrogant. He must suffer. If the two sides fought, Xia Ping still had hopes of winning. But he just had to take it head-on with his body. Even a powerhouse at the 7th layer would be seriously injured on the spot and need emergency treated. This Xia Ping will finally have to go to the hospital to lie down for a few months. It's great. Someone can finally teach this bully and avenge Big Brother Zhou. This is because God has opened his eyes and made that kid's head muddled. Many students were overjoyed, staring fiercely at Xia Ping above the ring. However, in reality, Xia Ping didn't feel anything at all. When Tao Yun's slap landed on his body, he was immediately protected by a Qi shield. This unique true Qi shield kept vibrating, crazily weakening the power from Tao Yun's palm and transmitted it to every corner of Xia Ping's body, forming a strange vibration that tempered his body. All the power was absorbed by Xia Ping, like a kunpeng absorbing water. Not only was this power unable to cause any harm to him, it also greatly increased the power in his body. It's amazing. Is this the Beiming Body Protection Technique? Too powerful. Xia Ping's eyes gleamed. Even if he knew from the system that this technique was extremely powerful, he didn't know the full extent of its capability. But when he really saw the true power of this skill, he was taken aback. After all, the power of Tao Yun's palm was not trivial. It was the pinnacle blow of a powerhouse in the 6th layer. Ordinary students wouldn't dare to take this palm head-on. But now, even if he was standing still and motionless, he could easily resist this move. One could imagine how strange this Beiming Body Protection Technique was. How are you unharmed? Tao Yun was stunned and looked at Xia Ping, standing in front of him. He couldn't believe what he saw at all. Even a powerhouse at the 7th layer would be seriously injured when facing his palm. But what is going on with this kid? He actually resisted all his blows with only his body and even came out scot-free. The weirded thing was that he showed an expression of euphoria, as if he enjoyed being slapped. Come on, is your strength only at this level? Xia Ping stood motionless with his hands held behind his back and looked at Tao Yun contemptuously. He also wanted to see the power of Beiming Body Protection Technique again. Just a single palm slap was not enough. Damn it, Tao Yun's face was flushed and he was feeling irritated. If he couldn't even beat a person who stood still and let him attack wantonly, wouldn't it mean that his 10 years of martial arts training was wasted? A powerful aura immediately surged from his body. With a steady gait, he used different moves of the cloud palm. Moon hiding behind cloud, cloud and rain, and mountain and sea. He used all of them in a row. Bang, bang, bang. Each palm contained a huge amount of terrifying force, and all of them hit Xia Ping fiercely. Even a rock would be pulverized into powder. Ordinary students would just fall to the ground with severe internal injuries. The surrounding audience could feel the terrific power that Tao Yun exerted with every palm. One palm was absolutely enough to kill a fierce tiger. Thousands of years ago, when martial arts were not flourishing, this was already the pinnacle. Not bad. Standing in place, Xia Ping was motionless as he felt the sensation of every palm bombarding him. Although such power could severely injure ordinary students, it was harmless to him who had practiced Beiming Body Protection Technique. When this palm bombarded his body, it was immediately transformed into a strange vibration which tempered his body and stimulated its potential. He only felt a warm current gushing out his body. It seemed that the energy of the golden potion lurking deep in his body was finally being fully absorbed as it tempered his physique and strengthened the true qi in his body. It originally took at least a week to digest and absorb all the energy. But under Tao Yun's attack, he absorbed it in a short time, and his body started to become stronger bit by bit. Sure enough, this Beiming Body Protection Technique is a supreme auxiliary martial skill. Just by being beaten, it can increase the body's energy absorption speed, and it even has the effect of tempering the body at the same time. It really is too strong. Xia Ping was extremely satisfied. He felt a crisp sensation in his body as it let out a constantly flowing stream of hot energy. The amount of this energy was still growing. The opponent's attack was like a hammer striking and forging hot iron. Not only did it not hurt him, but it was also helping in removing impurities from his body. How is this possible? How can you not even flinch? Tao Yun attacked with several palms in quick succession, using all the true qi in his whole body. He was even a bit exhausted after all these constant attacks. He had thought that even if the opponent was an immortal, he would have been seriously injured. He first regretted a little bit, thinking if he was a bit too heavy-handed. But after he finished attacking, he found that this kid was still standing on the spot alive, as if nothing happened. He hadn't even moved a single step. Is this it? Your palm is as weak as a little girl throwing a tantrum. This doesn't even make me feel an itch. Xia Ping stood with his hand held behind his, still looking at Tao Yun indifferently. Hearing this, Tao Yun's heart collapsed. His face flushed. He had attacked with his full strength. But in front of this guy, he was as weak as a little girl? How could this be possible? Why are you still standing there? Continue. I haven't enjoyed enough yet. Continue massaging me. Xia Ping urged. This was a rare opportunity to test the power of the Beiming Body Protection Technique. He didn't want to waste it with idle chatter. After being slapped a few times like this, he could quickly digest the energy of the golden potions in his body. In just a few days, his dantian would be full of true qi, and he could break through the 6th meridian and reach the realm of the 6th layer of martial apprentice. No, my palm is not for your massage. I'm not a girl. Hearing this, Tao Yun burst into tears as he finally couldn't bear it anymore. You bully. Leaving this sentence, he escaped from the ring while crying loudly with tears and snot streaming down his face. Seeing Tao Yun wailing and fleeing from the ring as if he had completely broken down, Xia Ping was speechless. Although this guy seemed to be a little weak-willed, he was still a powerhouse in the 6th layer. Such a shameful sight was just unbearable to look at. He turned his head to look at the referee next to him. Referee, what should I do with this? It was the first time the referee next to him encountered this kind of thing. In previous matches, some were seriously injured, some were beaten off the ring, and some who thought they lost admitted defeat. However, he had never seen someone being scared to the point of crying and running away from the ring. You really learn new things every day. Well, Tao Yun left the ring, so it'll be treated as an automatic surrender. Xia Ping won. The referee was also a veteran. He rolled his eyes and immediately conjured up an explanation and announced the result. But this result caused an uproar among the surrounding audience. Devil. This Xia Ping is definitely a devil. Even Tao Yun was frightened to the point crying. This guy's heart is too dark. This must be deliberate. In order to completely humiliate his opponent, he deliberately refused to make a move and allowed the opponent to attack. But it was useless to fight. Is there a more desperate fact than this? If I was standing on the ring, I would have also collapsed and started crying. This approach is too cruel. In order to satiate his sadism, this guy wasn't satisfied in just defeating his opponents with a single punch. Now he even wants to completely crush his opponent's heart, trampling his opponent's dignity to nothing. If he's not a demon, then no one is. No wonder he was able to capture the school flower and step on a dozen more boats outside school, even making several high school girls pregnant. With such methods, any girl would be captured. But I haven't heard of this kid before. He seems to be very low-key. Haven't you heard a saying? Rabbits don't eat grass on the edge of their nests. This kid must know that he can't blow things up in his own lair. So he only causes mayhem outside the school and has been acting low-key. But he couldn't stand the temptation of the school flower, Jiang Yaru. After finally not being able to resist, he stretched his demonic clutches at the school flower. He didn't expect this single matter to also expose all the bad things he had done in the past. Many students under the ring were extremely angry. They all regarded Xia Ping as the public enemy of the whole school. All of them wished to beat the arrogant bastard on the ring till his mother couldn't recognize him. Hearing the discussion around him, Xia Ping was speechless. He just wanted to experiment with the Beiming Body Protection Technique. How did he become a demon who liked to trample on the dignity of others? Moreover, they say he stepped on more than a dozen boats, made several high school girls pregnant, and collected countless flowers. Which bastard came up with this rumor? Why didn't he know that he had done such things? TL note. To stand with each foot in a different boat can mean having 2 lovers at the same time. So to stepping on a dozen would be having a dozen lovers. However, Xia Ping constantly heard the system prompts notifying him of an increase in hate points. So he didn't bother explaining it. It didn't seem to be a bad thing for him anyway. At most, his reputation would be a bit stained. After half an hour, the top 8 list finally came out, which included Xia Ping and Jiang Yaru. Jiang Yaru was also a real martial arts genius. She was the #1 master of 95th High School, as she had reached to the 7th layer of martial apprentice realm. It was rumored that she was only 1 step short of being able to break through to the 8th layer. Such a talent would be very good, even if she was admitted to Huang University. That's why her reputation was so good in 95th High School. Jiang Yaru was not only beautiful, but also second to none in cultivation. That's why she had a lot of fans in school. Even many girls were her admirers. It could be said that she was the real champion of this school fighting competition. Even Zhou Taian was far behind her. Xia Ping also entered the quarterfinals and was promoted to the 5th layer. Even Zhou Taian was defeated by him. When Jiang Yaru heard the news, she was also terribly shocked and dumbfounded. She never expected that Xia Ping would suddenly be so strong to this degree. Was he always pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger before? Now that she finally uncovered the pig's skin, was he showing the true appearance of a tiger? Not only was Jiang Yaru surprised, even Xia Ping's classmates were also terribly frightened. They didn't know why Xia Ping, who had always been so ordinary, was suddenly so powerful. All of this seemed like a fantasy. How can this be? Jiang Yaru's best friend, Liang Xiaoxue, also couldn't believe it. When she heard the name, she thought that he had the same name or there was a mistake in the rumor. But she confirmed again and again that Xia Ping really had indeed entered the quarterfinals. Her face was very ugly. Even she was eliminated before reaching the top 32. This poor boy had the ability to enter the top 8 and defeated Zhou Taian. Doesn't that mean that the other party was far above her? Thinking of this, she couldn't help squeezing her fists. She was extremely unwilling to lose to Jiang Yaru, who was a genius. But now she lost even to a poor boy. It's over. If this continues, can we still take revenge? Among them, Gao Wan and Yang Wei looked bitter. They were the ones who were frightened the most. From the very beginning of Xia Ping's match with Zhou Taian, the two had been expecting Xia Ping to be beaten up. But after every match, their hearts sank lower and lower. When Xia Ping reached the quarterfinals, the two of them finally realized that they seemed to be no longer at the same level as Xia Ping. If this continued, could this guy really be admitted to Huang University? Both Gao Wan and Yang Wei couldn't help thinking like this in their hearts. But the more they thought about it, the more desperate they became. It seemed that if this went on, there was no hope for their revenge. The gap between them would become larger and larger. There would be no way for them to catch up. Before it was Xia Ping who looked up to them, but now they were looking up to Xia Ping. Xiong Batian also received the news. His face was very gloomy and the surrounding atmosphere was depressing. The students around him did not dare approach him for fear of being used for venting his anger. He didn't even make it to the quarterfinals. He was eliminated by others when he reached the 16th round. But Xia Ping defeated even Zhou Taian and entered the quarterfinals. Xiong Batian was speechless when Zhou Taian was defeated. At that time, he just turned around and left, not even watching the rest of Xia Ping's matches. Entered the quarterfinals? Xiaoxue, the head teacher, was also very surprised. Her impression of Xia Ping was just ordinary, and he seemed to have no impressive characteristics. The only impression she had was when she was advising her students regarding their future, and Xia Ping uttered wild words about going to Huang University. But it didn't take long for this student to be able to enter the top 8 of the school, which was simply incredible. Could it be that he was low-key before and did not show his true level? Now, because of Jiang Yaru's affairs, he finally revealed his ability. Xiaoxue, the head teacher, couldn't help thinking like this. The quarterfinals. Xia Ping stood in the arena, and his opponent was Gao Sheng, a powerhouse in the 6th layer. He was in the school's top 10 and had a great reputation. The spectating students held their breath and watched the fight about to happen between these two. Xia Ping. Gao Sheng stared at Xia Ping and squeezed his fists. I don't know how you defeated Zhou Taian or what vol means you used, but don't think that you can defeat me so easily. Gao Sheng, practiced the intermediate martial skill Tyrant Tiger Fist. My punch has unmatched strength incomparable to those of your previous opponents. If you dare underestimate me, you'll pay a heavy price. I can send you flying with a single punch. His face had a hideous expression, and the muscles all over his body bulged as if made of steel. His whole body exuded a sturdy smell, like a tiger coming out of the jungle. In fact, he wasn't bragging without reason either. With the Tyrant Tiger Fist he practiced, his attack power was second to none in the school. He was powerful and domineering. Even Xiong Batian had to bow his head in front of him. Even if Xia Ping defeated Zhou Taian, Gao Sheng still had absolute self-confidence and believed that he would not lose. Tyrant Tiger Fist. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. This was just perfect. The stronger the attack, the better the effect of Beiming Body Protection Technique. If the attack power was too weak, wouldn't it have no effect on him at all? What Xia Ping wanted was a strong opponent. He raised his eyebrows, showing a look of contempt, and said, "Is that so?" Before Zhou Taian also said that he was the #1 in school, but he was beaten by only one punch. Tyrant Tiger Fist is indeed powerful, but it doesn't matter if the person using it is useless. There are some people practicing Tyrant Tiger Fist who can only make a cute kitten fist. I don't know if you're like them. Hearing this, Gao Sheng's lungs exploded. This bastard's mouth could poison someone to death. His majestic Tyrant Tiger Fist was suddenly made into cute kitten fist after speaking with this guy. How could he cultivate a martial skill whose specialty is its cuteness? This was the greatest humiliation to him. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. When the referee announced the start of the match, Gao Sheng jumped out like a tiger. He clenched his fists and tightened his muscles, exuding explosive power. The chi exploded out of his body, seeming to contain a huge amount of power. He punched out with a fist, but Xia Ping did not evade and let the opponent's fist hit him. What? This kid didn't evade. Does he want to commit suicide? Gao Sheng was taken aback, but it was too late to take his power back. Boom! His vigorous fist hit Xia Ping's chest firmly. It was like a roaring tiger, shaking the mountains and forests. Even the entire arena was shaking. It's a pity. I thought this kid would be a good opponent as he defeated Zhou Taian. Gao Sheng sighed as he looked up to the sky. I didn't expect his head to be so muddled. He just stood still and didn't defend himself. This time he would have to be bedded in at the hospital for at least 4 or 5 months before he can recover. The college entrance examination would have long since passed by then. Why did you stop? Standing in place, Xia Ping was using Beiming Body Protection Technique. He felt the vibration from a huge and powerful force. The energy in his body was quickly refined. He was enjoying the pleasure of increasing his strength, but suddenly Gao Sheng seemed to have stopped. Hearing Xia Ping's voice, Gao Sheng was shocked. How is this possible? How could you not scream and fall to the ground unconscious? According to normal logic, it was impossible to not be seriously injured after taking his fist head-on. With just your little strength, you want to make me scream and unconscious? Xia Ping said with despise. Your skill only has its cuteness as its selling point. Other than that, it's useless. Hearing this, Gao Sheng went crazy and yelled, Impossible! How could you be unscathed after all this? I don't believe it. He couldn't accept this absurd fact. He went crazy as he squeezed his fists and punched out a flurry of fists like a tempest into Xia Ping's body. All the fists had Gao Sheng's full strength behind them. Bang, bang, bang! The bombardment of each punch was like a thunderous drum as they erupted with a shocking sound. But Xia Ping still stood motionless with his hands folded behind his back and let Gao Sheng keep on attacking. In just 5 or 6 minutes, Gao Sheng didn't know how many punches he blasted out. 100, 200, or even 300 punches were possible. But there was still not a scratch in Xia Ping's body. Instead, his expression was like he was enjoying all this. Gao Sheng really deserves to be called the person with the strongest attack power in the school. The power of each of his punches is at least 3,000 caddies. The huge vibration is tempering my body and quickly refining all the residual energy. This guy is simply the best practice partner. Xia Ping was extremely satisfied. He felt that the true qi in his body was constantly increasing. His dantian was full of true qi, and he faintly felt that he was about to break through the 6th meridian and be promoted to the 6th layer of martial apprentice realm. All the energy in the body is exhausted. Soon, he discovered that with the continuous attacks from Gao Sheng, the effect on him seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. In the end, Gao Sheng's punches stopped improving Xia Ping's strength. After all those attacks, Xia Ping's body had become accustomed to his opponent's attacks, and all the residual energy from the golden potions had been refined. He needed to take more of these potions if he wanted to continue improving his strength by absorbing energy. It seems that's all for today. Xia Ping knew that even if he continued absorbing Gao Sheng's attacks, he would not continue improving his cultivation. Meanwhile, Gao Sheng was panting and had collapsed to the ground. He looked at Xia Ping with desperation. Impossible. I released 2 or 300 punches. Why did nothing happen to you? Are you still human? I already said that the only good thing about your fist is its cuteness. Xia Ping stood with his hands folded as he showed the demeanor of a powerful master. But since you punched me so many times, it'll be too impolite if I don't reciprocate a bit. Boom! As soon as his voice fell, Xia Ping punched out with his fist as his bones rattled and his muscles tensed up. He sprinted to Gao Sheng, twisted his waist, and passed his tremendous strength from bottom to top as the air vibrated. His fist struck fiercely at Gao Sheng's chest like a meteor hitting the ground with unmatched power. What? Gao Sheng immediately let out a scream. 3 of his ribs were broken instantly, and the powerful force severely damaged his lungs. He immediately flew out for 20 to 30 meters without any resistance. Finally, he slammed into the ring with his neck crooked as he fainted on the spot. The surrounding audience looked at Gao Sheng, who was being quickly carried away by the medical staff with pity. After suffering such a blow, his heart had collapsed as he couldn't even make his opponent flinch after hitting Xia Ping so many times. On the other hand, with just a single punch from Xia Ping, he flew out screaming and was seriously injured to the point of unconsciousness. Was there a more cruel ending in the world? This Xia Ping was indeed a demon. Damn it! Can no one punish this bully? Look at this bastard's cocky expression. How hateful! What kind of martial skill did this kid practice? Why is he okay, no matter how many times he is hit? This is not reasonable. If such a scumbag can also enter the semifinals, is there any justice in the world? A group of spectators wailed. Their hearts were aggrieved, and their depression was almost as if Xia Ping murdered their parents. They watched the bastard enter step by step into the top four, but were helpless to stop him. Xia Ping's classmates were already numb. Even if this kid won the championship, they would not be surprised. What kind of body protection technique is this? How can it be so strangely powerful? Xiao, the head teacher, blinked, revealing a trace of doubt. Even with her superior vision, she couldn't see what martial skill Xia Ping was practicing. But this kind of thing could not be questioned. After all, the school was a place for teaching and learning knowledge. There was no mandatory requirements for students about which skills they could practice. This was the freedom of the students, and no one had the right to interrogate. Soon, the semifinals began. Jiang Yaru easily defeated her opponent by virtue of her strong strength and entered the semifinals. The other two who entered the semifinals were also regulars in the top 10 of the school. They were a man and a woman, named Hong Yu and Zhu Erqin. Xia Ping's opponent was Hong Yu, and Zhu Erqin's opponent was Jiang Yaru. Bang! As soon as a bell rang, both matches started at the same time. But what everyone didn't expect was that Hong Yu just came up the ring and said to the referee, "I admit defeat." What? Everyone was shocked and looked at Hong Yu dumbfounded. They didn't expect Hong Yu to make such a decision and admit defeat in the semifinals. Was he crazy? However, Hong Yu also had his own ideas. After watching the previous matches of Xia Ping, he knew that he was not Xia Ping's opponent at all. If he still fought, he would end up like Zhou Taian and Gao Wan. He would be seriously injured and bedridden for at least a month. Since he couldn't beat his opponent, he might as well surrender directly. After all, the remaining few months before the college entrance examination were very important. There was no need to get injured here. The referee was also a little surprised. "Do you really admit defeat?" "Yes, I surrender." Hong Yu left the ring happily. The referee had no choice but to announce the result. Xia Ping won without a fight and entered the final smoothly. Jiang Yaru also quickly defeated her opponent, Zhu Erqin. She threw Zhu Erqin into the ground with one punch and left her without any strength to counterattack. No way. This kid really made it to the finals. Damn, isn't this guy sure to win? Who doesn't know that this guy is a little white face and has something going on with Jiang Yaru? Isn't it? When the time comes, this guy will flatter and say something sweet. Then Jiang Yaru would surrender automatically. Wouldn't he become champion in just a few minutes? They're in cahoots. Husband and wife have taken both the first and second place. What else is there to fight for? I'm not convinced. This kid won the championship and is again embracing the beauty. He took all the benefits. Don't worry, this bastard will be struck by lightning sooner or later. Many students spewed vicious curses and were extremely unwilling. At that time, Xia Ping and Jiang Yaru also entered the ring for the final match. Whoever was the school champion would receive a bonus of 100,000 federal dollars. Of course, even for second place, there were rewards, about 10,000 federal dollars. The third and fourth places got 5,000 federal dollars and 1,000 federal dollars respectively. Xia Ping. Jiang Yaru looked at Xia Ping with scorching eyes, revealing a strange color. "I never thought that one day I would be able to fight you in the ring. This feeling is really strange." Because according to Xia Ping's previous results, the realm of the martial apprentice third layer, he would not even be eligible to participate in the fighting competition, let alone stand on the stage in the finals. 30 years east, 30 years west. Don't bully the youth just because they are poor. Xia Ping stood with his hands held behind his back, showing a grandmaster's bearing. His eyes seemed to see through the prosperity of the world. "Don't think that I am the same as before. Let's start. Even you, Jiang Yaru, won't be my opponent. It seems that you are indeed a little different." Jiang Yaru also felt that Xia Ping's aura was completely different from before. He was no longer the boy in the neighbor's house, but a martial arts expert who was able to compete with her in the ring. Even Zhou Taian, Gao Wan, and other martial arts powerhouses were beaten by him until there was no way to fight back. This combat power could not be underestimated. "Come on, let me see how much you have grown." Jiang Yaru put on a posture, exuding the powerful aura of a martial apprentice 7th layer. Her aura felt like a heavy mountain bearing down. This was the real look of the genius girl who dominated the entire school. Once she started, she was better than anyone. "I surrender." Suddenly, Xia Ping turned and said to the referee, "Give up." Jiang Yaru was dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? What happened to the look of a martial arts powerhouse just now? The expression that he would never lose. And now he actually gave up. What a joke. The referee was also a little confused and at a loss. "Xia Ping, don't joke and fight me seriously," Jiang Yaru said angrily. "I know you are very strong. It is impossible for you to give up so easily. Do you look down on me, Jiang Yaru?" She glared at Xia Ping. Her body exuded terrible anger, like a fierce tiger. Hearing this, Xia Ping touched the back of his head, showing a very worried look, and said, "My wife, don't be angry. We can talk about duels later, but you have to be careful not to move the fetus too much. Of course, if you want to hit me, just hit me. I have a thick skin and can bear it. I've been beaten by you many times before, and I'm already used to it." He patted his chest, emphasizing his strong appearance. Jiang Yaru was stunned. Her head was muddy, and she was in a state of being unable to think. She didn't understand what Xia Ping was saying. Fetus? What are you talking about? Her eyes were full of doubts. Jiang Yaru didn't understand, but the students around did. Even the teachers were in an uproar. Everyone was trembling, and they all looked at Jiang Yaru dumbfoundedly. Oh my god, that rumor was really true. Jiang Yaru had been impregnated by this shameless man. A male student sighed up to the sky with tears streaming down his face as if he had received a major blow and collapsed to the ground. What a beast. He has no humanity anymore. He made high school girls pregnant at such a young age. Is he still human? Everyone, could he possibly be a human? A tall student was so sad and indignant that he couldn't wait to rush forward and beat Xia Ping violently. In fact, there were many people who had the same idea. It was only a short while before someone started shouting, "This is irrational. What's so good about this bastard, Xia Ping? Even if you randomly pick someone from the crowd, they'd be 100 times better than Xia Ping. With his family background and looks, how can he compare to us?" A group of students were very angry. The air smelled of turmoil. I see. Now I understand why top powerhouses like Tao Yun and Gao Sheng were not Xia Ping's opponents. It's because no matter how they fight against Xia Ping, he is indifferent. His body is as tough as a steel plate, and it seems like nothing can even scratch him. A student wearing glasses suddenly realized that he seemed to have solved a shocking question. Someone immediately asked, "What's the matter? Say it quickly. Have you not heard what Xia Ping was saying just now?" The student wearing glasses reasoned mysteriously, saying, "Jiang Yaru is pregnant, and pregnant women tend to have a moody temper. It is even more terrifying than when a woman is on her period. So she beat Xia Ping at every turn whenever her mood soured. Think about it. What kind of character is Jiang Yaru? The proud daughter of heaven and a powerhouse at the 7th layer. She can be called the #1 in the school. No one can beat her. Simply put, she is the humanoid female version of a Tyrannosaurus. In front of her, one can only be beaten. Xia Ping is often beaten by this kind of character. As long as he doesn't die, even a tofu can be tempered into steel. Xia Ping became so strong only because of resisting her beatings. It suddenly dawned on everyone as they finally understood why Xia Ping was so tough. This kid was originally a useless piece of wood. He was so inconspicuous in school that anyone could step on him. However, after hooking up with Jiang Yaru, he was beaten violently at every turn. So he drastically improved his skills in taking beatings. After all, if you wanted to survive the beating of a humanoid female Tyrannosaurus, you couldn't stay weak. Big brother, listening to you say that, it suddenly feels very reasonable. I can vividly imagine what happened. Damn it, this kid's life is so good. He gets to be beaten up by the school flower and is able to train his martial arts to the point of entering the finals. So tyrannical. It's a little bit unbelievable. I'm not afraid of everyone's jokes. To be honest, I'm often beaten up by my girlfriend who weighs more than 300 kilograms, but it didn't work. I went to the hospital several times. Sometimes I stay unconscious for a long period. Can your girlfriend be compared with the school flower Jiang Yaru? When someone like her beats her boyfriend, it is the kind of life and death battle that can completely stimulate the body's potential. It is on a completely different level. I'm still very interested in the experience of the previous elder brother. How did you hook up with that girlfriend? You still haven't broken up after all this. Are you being threatened? Many students talked a lot about why Xia Ping became so tough. 3 feet of ice does not form in a single day. Xia Ping had probably undergone many years of brutal training to show such skill. His classmates were also gathered in a circle and discussing this theory. Although the rumor that Jiang Yaru was pregnant came from their side, it was after all just a rumor that had not been confirmed. But now this bastard Xia Ping actually admitted it. Was that really true? Xiao Xue, the head teacher, was even more stunned. She had only been a head teacher for half a year, but had experienced too many things. 2 students were arrested by the police for running naked at school and detained for 7 days. This had already made her feel lightheaded. Now a top student, the goddess of the school, was actually pregnant and the father was a classmate. My god, this society is so complicated. Xia Ping. Hearing the comments of the surrounding students, Jiang Yaru finally understood what the bastard meant. She was half dead with anger and her white and tender face immediately turned red. Smoke almost came out of her head. She had nothing to do with this shameless bastard. He was just a neighbor who she had known since childhood. When was she ever impregnated by him? Where did these rumors come from? Although she had never beaten Xia Ping before, she didn't know why, but this time she really wanted to beat the shameless bastard in front of her who deliberately spread rumors. Xia Ping rolled his eyes and said, "Well, I'm leaving. I suddenly feel the urge to pee and want to go to the toilet." He left this sentence and slipped away. Asshole! Jiang Yaru was furious. How could she let this kid swagger off? But before she could stop him, the referee came over and grabbed her hand. He raised it high and announced loudly, "The champion is Jiang Yaru." Wait, Jiang Yaru wanted to catch up, but she was caught by the referee and couldn't move. After all, after winning the championship, she had to go to the podium to receive the reward. It was impossible to let her leave. She stomped her feet with anger. Just wait. This bastard would be caught by her sooner or later. She vowed to give that bastard, Xia Ping, a good lesson. Otherwise her surname would not be Jiang. At this time, Xia Ping came to the toilet. He indeed had to pee and just took advantage of this opportunity to hide. Otherwise, if other students saw him, they would gang up on him to beat him. Didi, a voice came from the system. Congratulations to the host for arousing anger and attracting a lot of hatred. So far, the host has obtained a total of 3,700 hate points. I hope the host continues his efforts. 3,700 hate points. Hearing this number, Xia Ping's eyes lit up. Originally, all the hate points he had saved up was basically consumed in exchanging for the Beiming Body Protection Technique. But because of the duels, a large number of students were angered and he gained more than 3,000 hate points at once. This was simply a bumper harvest. The only downside was that he was now a public enemy of the school and his reputation was worse than shit. He would most probably be thrown rotten eggs at when he walked on the road. If there is a gain, there must be a loss. There is no free lunch in the world. Xia Ping was very open-minded and didn't continue being upset about this kind of thing. Forget it. It's evening now. Let's go home for dinner. After a day of competition, it was now 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and he was grunting with hunger. Xia Ping finished responding to nature's call in the toilet and was about to leave the school. But when he walked to the school gate, he was immediately surrounded by a dozen young men in white practitioner clothes. Seeing these people in white practitioner clothes surrounding him, Xia Ping's eyes flickered. He didn't panic because this was the entrance of the school. In public, these people wouldn't dare do anything. And even if they did, he was not afraid. Are you Xia Ping? The speaker was a sturdy young man, about 17 or 18 years old. His body was muscular and his eyes were intimidating. His whole body exuded a powerful aura. His every move seemed to be natural, as if he was just walking. He integrated martial arts into ordinary movements. Xia Ping instantly discerned that the opponent was a master, stronger than Zhou Taian. I am. Why are you looking for me? Xia Ping looked at the muscular man indifferently. His eyes showed a terrifying light, and he aggressively said, My name is Yao Zhong. I am a disciple of Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall. Zhou Taian is also a member of this martial arts hall. In other words, he is my junior. Do you understand now? The huge momentum on his body came crushing down, as if he wanted to force Xia Ping to give in. It turns out that Zhou Taian couldn't beat me, so he let his seniors come find trouble with me. Xia Ping looked at them disdainfully. If you hit a small one, the big one will come out. It seems that Zhou Taian really is a person that can't take a single loss. Shut up. You know nothing, kid. Who are you saying can't afford to lose? Don't you dare spread rumors here. Senior brother Zhou didn't call us. We came by ourselves. The group of men in white practitioner clothes shouted angrily, glaring at Xia Ping as if wishing to eat him alive. If others thought that their Wu Wei martial arts hall couldn't afford to lose, their reputation would be ruined. It seems that you're not only shameless, but also have a poisonous mouth. Yao Zhong stared at Xia Ping. But martial artists rely on their strength and their skills, not their mouths. The strong are respected. People who can only speak with their mouths can't do anything else throughout their lives. There was a hint of coldness at the corner of his mouth. Xia Ping said calmly, Really? Your junior seems to have been defeated by someone who can only play tricks. Not only that, he was also defeated with only one punch and couldn't get himself up. Shut up. Did I let you talk? With a bang, Yao Zhong's eyes showed a hint of cold light, and he shot out. He sent a slap to Xia Ping's face, whistling and containing terrifying power. Moreover, this palm was extremely strange. In a flash, countless palm shadows appeared in the air, like a butterfly dancing through flowers, making people unable to see it clearly. Whoosh! Xia Ping didn't even look at it. His figure flashed, and his body stepped back a bit, easily avoiding this palm. This palm slammed into empty space and shook the air vigorously. There was a clear palm print on a nearby concrete wall as the rubble fell down. What? This kid escaped Senior's 1,000 phantom palm? How is this possible? The group of men in white practitioner clothes were shocked. They were originally planning to watch a good show of the tragic situation of this kid being slapped by their senior. Being struck by this blow, a few teeth would fall out and his mouth would be full of blood. He would be lying on the ground like a dead dog. But this kid easily avoided the palm, looking completely calm. A bit capable. No wonder you could defeat my junior brother Zhou Taian. Yao Zhong's eyes flashed. You can actually escape my 1,000 phantom palms. It seems that you're not just a fake. He was a powerhouse in the 7th layer. This kid could actually escape his sudden move without any warning. It was very unusual. Are you courting death? Xia Ping's eyes showed a trace of anger. This guy was clearly trying to provoke him. If he hadn't escaped just now, he would be slapped and blown away immediately. His face would be swollen, and he would be completely humiliated. Courting death, Yao Zhong sneered. With your strength, do you want to try slapping me too? I advise you to endure. Even if you manage to evade my palm, you still aren't my opponent. And I'm not here to fight with you. I'm just warning you, kid. Don't be too arrogant, or you will suffer misfortune sooner or later. Although my younger brother lost to you this time, it does not mean that he will lose to you in the future. He will personally avenge this grudge, so just wait. After saying this, he wanted to leave with a group of people. You try to slap me. Do you think you can simply leave? Yao Zhong looked at Xia Ping disdainfully. Also punch me and see if you're qualified to speak such big words. Boom tilde tilde. Suddenly, Xia Ping's body moved as his momentum skyrocketed. He leaped 3 or 4 meters in front of Yao Zhong and punched out. Dragon fist of 5 forms fist. Azure dragon moves the sky. What? Yao Zhong's face changed drastically. He didn't imagine this kid would dare to attack him, a powerhouse at 7th layer. He was completely caught off guard. Moreover, this punch was extremely terrifying and domineering, exuding thousands of caddies of tremendous power. Xia Ping's punch was rumbling and shooting vigorously, as if it was a dragon roaring through the void. In a rush, he could only stretch out his hands and put on a defensive posture. But Yao Zhong couldn't bear this terrifying force, and his body was blown out immediately. Boom! His body was smashed against the school wall, and a human-shaped crater was created. Rubble splashed, and smoke billowed. Even he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood as his lungs were injured. You dare to speak down to me with just this ability? You, Yao Zhong, are not qualified. Xia Ping looked at Yao Zhong, who was blown away by his punch. Since you made me angry, you'll also be sent to the hospital with one punch, just like your stupid junior. Hearing this, the group of men in white practitioner clothes exploded with anger. How dare you be so arrogant after making such a sneak attack? You dare to punch Brother Yao? Do you want to die? Everyone, let's go up and beat him together. They were all furious. Want to do it? You'd better weigh your choices. Xia Ping sneered. This is Tianshui City 95th High School. This is my site. As long as I call, hundreds of brothers will come out. If you also want to be sent to the hospital, do it. Hearing this, the dozen or so men in white practitioner suits were immediately dumbfounded and became timid. They only now remembered that they were standing in front of the school. If this kid really yelled, hundreds of people might immediately rush out and beat them violently. Then they would be in miserable condition. They would have to stay at the hospital for at least a few months. For a moment, they looked at each other, not knowing what to do. Stop. There was a crash, and the rubble rolled down. Yao Zhong walked out from the wall. He looked at Xia Ping with an extremely gloomy expression. He didn't expect that he would suffer such a loss. This kid actually dared to attack him. Moreover, the opponent's strength was indeed not simple. It was obviously only at the 5th layer. But this kid still had the strength to blow him away with a single punch. He didn't even have the time to react. Although his own carelessness was partially to blame, on the whole, this kid was really strong. No wonder he could beat Zhou Taian with only one punch. This was not unreasonable. Brother Yao, the group of men in white practitioner clothes looked at Yao Zhong and gritted their teeth, clearly very unwilling. Yao Zhong stared at Xia Ping with gloomy eyes. You're pretty good. You actually have the ability to punch me away. Although I was careless, I have to admit that you are more or less capable. Stop pretending. You vomited blood after being hit. Xia Ping said with despise. To be honest, even if you were not careless, you wouldn't be my opponent. Fuck. This kid was too arrogant. The group of men in white practitioner clothes were furious. They couldn't wait to rush up and beat up this bastard. It was obviously a sneak attack that beat senior brother Yao Zhong. Now he was being very arrogant and pretended to be forthright. They had never seen such a cheap person, but he was still at the 5th layer. Facing a master at the 7th layer, what qualifications did he have to say such a thing? He managed to injure brother Yao only because of the sneak attack. Yao Zhong's face was ugly. He could not wait to rush up and beat the kid violently. But after getting hit by the opponent's punch, he suffered internal injuries that impaired his fighting strength. If they really fought, he wouldn't be at his peak. He really might not be Xia Ping's opponent. Of course, he would never admit it and say it out loud. Xia Ping, I'm not arguing with you. The strong defeat their opponents in a proper duel, not with sly tricks. Yao Zhong stared at Xia Ping and said, You reached the top 10 in your school this time and will be representing 95th High School in the Tianshui City High School fighting competition. I'm also the representative of the 99th High School. At that time, I will see if you can still be so arrogant in the ring. Let's go. After saying this, he turned around and left with a group of younger brothers. Although the other men in the white practitioner clothes were very unwilling, they also knew that it was unwise to look for trouble in front of other people's schools. There was a risk of them being attacked by groups. So all of them glared at Xia Ping and left without saying anything. A bunch of idiots. Xia Ping looked at these people from Wuwei Martial Arts Hall contemptuously. If these people surrounded and beat him together, he would just run away. Because he was now the public enemy of the school, he couldn't call for any backup. Maybe when the students saw him being beaten, they would even cheer. Of course, these people from Wuwei Martial Arts Hall didn't know about this and were all bluffed. But see you in the ring? I'm afraid that when we meet again next time, I won't be at the 5th layer. Xia Ping's eyes showed a glimmer of coldness, looking at the back of those people leaving. Yao Zhong's group soon returned to the Wuwei Martial Arts Hall. All of them were sulking and clenching their fists. They were extremely unwilling to accept what just happened. Damn it, Brother Yao, why do you still want to endure it? That's right, it's just a trash at the 5th layer. With your strength, one punch is enough to disable this kid and send him directly to the hospital. If you're afraid of being besieged by people from 95th High School, don't be afraid. We'll stall them and fight to the death. Yeah, who is afraid of who? We will not take it lying down. Being led by the nose by that kid, I can't swallow this resentment. The group of people were furious. Puff! At this moment, Yao Zhong couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood and spray it on the wooden floor. His face was pale and his body seemed weak. Brother Yao. Everyone was taken aback and wanted to hold Yao Zhong. They didn't know why this suddenly happened to Yao Zhong. Don't worry, I'm fine. It's just some bruises. It'll be fine once I vomit some blood out. Yao Zhong waved his hand and signaled that his injury was nothing serious. Someone was shocked. No, senior brother Yao, is it true that that shameless bastard caused this? Just now that kid sneak attacked and injured you so much. The others also showed incredulous expressions. Yao Zhong was a powerhouse in the 7th layer of martial apprentice realm. How would he be injured by a small fry in the 5th layer? Even a sneak attack would have a limited effect. Although I'm very unwilling, that kid did hurt me. Yao Zhong squeezed his fists, his expression unwilling. He was able to defeat junior brother Zhou Taian. That kind of attack is indeed powerful enough to threaten the 7th layer. I was careless just now and was hit. If it were not for this, he would have fought back long ago. He felt suffocated when he had to endure and flee like a defeated dog. The group had ugly expressions. If this is the case, doesn't that mean that even senior brother Yao is not that bastard opponent? Do we have no choice but to swallow this grudge? The others were unwilling. They were all martial arts practitioners. All of them were hot-blooded and arrogant. How could they bear this grievance? Endure it. Yao Zhong squeezed his fist and sneered. That was just a sneak attack. He hit me when I was unprepared. With his true ability, how could he be my opponent? Moreover, I'm at the peak of the 7th layer. In 1 month, I will be able to break through the 8th meridian and be promoted to the 8th layer. Then it'll be easy to deal with the trash at the 5th layer. His eyes were extremely proud and full of absolute confidence. As expected of senior brother Yao. Too powerful. Breaking through to the 8th layer as a high school student. What a genius. I reckon that among nearby high schools, big brother Yao is the strongest. With his strength, even in the Tianshui City High School fighting competition, we can achieve good results. That kid is dead. It's okay to not meet senior brother Yao. But once he meets brother Yao in the ring, he will be squashed in a bleak manner. The group of people talked, and their eyes lit up. There were 9 layers in the martial apprentice realm. Each subsequent layer was stronger than the previous layer by a huge margin, so people could fight above their layer. But to leapfrog 3 layers and winning was simply impossible. At this time, Xia Ping also returned home. He found that his parents seemed to have been waiting for him for a long time and looked at him in a dreadful manner. Seeing Xia Ping coming in, his mother, Huang Lanxin, immediately stepped forward and asked, "Son, what the hell is going on? Why am I hearing that you made Yarrow pregnant? When did this happen? Why didn't you tell us about such a major event?" She looked at Xia Ping solemnly. Xia Ping didn't know what to say. He didn't think that the rumors in school would spread to his home so quickly. The speed of rumors were really amazing. "Son, this was a bit too much." Father Xia Chuanlu looked distressed. "As a high school student, you played around with women everywhere and even made some of them pregnant. You are not as mature and stable as your father used to be. To tell you the truth, before I met your mother, I was a virgin. I didn't even hold a girl's hand." Xia Ping looked at his father with disdain. "Is this mature and steady? It's just unpopular." Did he think that I wouldn't realize if he said it like that? "What? Son, what look is this?" Xia Chuanlu was a little mad and said, "Don't think that I can't see what you were thinking. You think that your dad was not popular. Wrong. Terribly wrong. Back then, I, Xia Chuanlu, was the school idol. I became the first love and dream lover of an uncountable number of girls. I almost debuted as a star, you know. Although I am now middle-aged and fat with a beer belly, my waistline is a few times bigger and even my hairline has receded, it is undeniable that I was handsome." He almost wanted to take out photos taken when he was young. "Well, don't brag here." Mother Huang Lanxin glared at Xia Chuanlu and said, "Now what we have to solve is the problem of our son getting married. The girls are all pregnant. This is not a trivial matter." "Ahem." Xia Chuanlu coughed and said as he scowled, "That's right, son. Tell me what to do. You have known Yara since childhood. She is beautiful and has good character. Although I don't know why she was blinded and fell in love with someone like you. But at this point, I can only recognize it. My Xia family is not the type who eats and doesn't wipe the mouth. The responsibility should be borne." Hearing this, Xia Ping looked at his father speechlessly. "You can't say that. Our son still has some advantages. It's just not obvious." Mother Huang Lanxin said, "The reason he could do all this is probably because of blessings from our ancestors." Xia Ping twitched the corners of his mouth. "Were there any advantages that were not obvious? Why don't you just say that he didn't have any good points at all?" He coughed, stopped his parents from speaking, and said, "You have misunderstood. Those are all rumors. There is nothing between me and her, and the other girls are also not pregnant." "What?" Upon hearing this, his mother, Huang Lanxin, was obviously disappointed, but she seemed to have expected it long ago. "I knew that no such big pie would fall from the sky." Father Xia Chuanlu sighed. "It seems that if you want to get rid of singlehood, son, you still need a blind date. You have to follow in the footsteps of your father. But don't worry, this is a family tradition." Xia Ping ignored his 2 weird parents and went straight to the living room to have dinner. Then he went back to his bedroom to rest. Morning, 3 days later in the bedroom. Boom! Xia Ping used the pure yang immortal art. His body vibrated and the true energy inside his body was surging. The sunlight outside the window shone in and turned into endless energy that flooded into his body. At the same time, with the assistance of pure yang immortal art, the energy of 2 or 3 bottles of golden potions that he had just taken was quickly refined and transformed into a large amount of true qi that poured into the depths of his dantian. Boom tilde tilde. At that moment, the surrounding air vibrated and the true qi in his body surged like a tide as it flowed around the meridians of his body. With a snap, a meridian was broken through by a powerful force. Finally, Xia Ping penetrated the 6th meridian and was promoted to the 6th layer of martial apprentice realm. 6th layer. Xia Ping squeezed his fists and opened his eyes, revealing a terrifying light, as if it contained a ball of flame like a mysterious sun rotating in the depths of his pupils. He felt that at the moment he was promoted to the 6th layer, his body's strength and speed had greatly improved, at least 40 to 50% stronger. True chi in his body was strengthened, and every gesture of his had the power to smash a mountain. Even his spiritual power was strengthened, and his range of perception had increased to 30 meters. As long as he moved his mind, he could clearly perceive 30 meters centered around his body. Even if a fly flew by and an ant crawled by, he would see it clearly. This Beiming Body Protection Technique is really amazing. It is indeed the best auxiliary skill. Xia Ping couldn't help exclaiming out loud. He had expected that it would take at least a month before he would be able to be promoted to the 6th layer. But who could have imagined that after practicing this technique, other people's beating would help him temper his physique and increase the efficiency of energy absorption. In just 3 days, he absorbed 10 bottles of golden potions and finally filled his dantian with true energy, successfully breaking through to the 6th layer as a result. But if I want to continue speeding up my cultivation, I need to find more opponents and let more powerful people beat my body so as to enhance the efficiency of the body's energy absorption. Xia Ping's eyes flashed with ambition. Now, he not only wanted to be promoted to the 7th layer, but he also wanted to achieve the 8th layer and even the 9th layer. After all, in the high school student fighting competition, powerhouses of the 9th layer also existed. It was simply not enough to be at the 6th layer. But the problem was that if he wanted to practice Beiming Body Protection Technique, he had to find more opponents. But fewer and fewer people in school were qualified to become his opponents. If it was an opponent whose strength was worse than his own, then it would be of no use to him. It would be impossible to continue speeding up his cultivation. It seems that I must find a place where there are a large number of opponents, and they also need to be strong enough. Xia Ping's eyes flickered, thinking about his future cultivation plans. That's right, the martial arts hall. Thinking of this, his eyes lit up. In Tianshui City, there was no place more suitable for his cultivation than a martial arts hall. There were more powerful people there. It could be said that most of the masters in Tianshui City had trained in a martial arts hall at least once in their lives. The so-called martial arts halls were equivalent to cram schools in Xia Ping's previous life. The college entrance examination had tests regarding martial arts. Every parent hoped that their children's academic performance was good, but what they learned from school was not enough. So, they were sent to a martial arts hall for further training. Therefore, the martial arts halls gathered top students from various high schools in Tianshui City. There were even rumors that people who had not attended a martial arts hall basically had no chance of being admitted to a first-class university. Of course, just as there were good and bad cram schools, martial arts halls were naturally varied in quality. The more famous the martial arts hall, the stronger the students in them. And Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall was undoubtedly a well-known one which had taught many powerful people. Even figures like Zhou Taian were attracted to it. It seems that I have to go to Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall today. There should be a lot of masters there. It is a suitable place for my practice. Xia Ping's eyes flashed, and he made a decision immediately. Time passed in the blink of an eye. Soon it was time for the end of school in the afternoon. Wu Wei Martial Art Hall was not far from Tianshui City to 95th High School, about 3 or 4 bus stops away. Xia Ping got on the autonomous and driverless electric smart bus and arrived at Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall within a few minutes. This is Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall. After getting off the bus, Xia Ping came to the gate of Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall and saw a huge building in front of him. It was square and simple in style, just like an ancient courtyard house. At the door, there were 2 stone lions about 1 person tall, with a plaque on them on which the 4 characters of Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall were written. The sky where powerful dragons and phoenixes dance. At this time, some part-time students seemed to be handing out flyers at the door, trying to recruit students. This friend. When a tall man saw Xia Ping coming, his eyes lit up, and he immediately called out with an enthusiastic attitude. You want to join the Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall? You are definitely making the right decision. Who doesn't know that Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall is a prestigious martial arts hall in Tianshui City? There are countless martial arts experts who have graduated from here. Even top students from various universities join here due to their admiration. As long as you train in Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall for 2 or 3 months, I believe that your martial arts skills would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. You could even be admitted to a top university. Tuition for 3 months is 15,000 federal dollars. Of course, the price is not cheap, but I can guarantee that it is definitely worth the money. People who come here have only sung praises. He seemed like a salesperson, constantly promoting Wu Wei Martial Arts Hall to Xia Ping. But the price was simply too expensive. The tuition fee for 1 semester of 95th High School was around 1,000 federal dollars. But only 3 months of training here required 15,000 federal dollars, which was simply not affordable for ordinary people. I'm here to challenge the hall, Xia Ping said flatly to the chattering guy. What? Not only the tall man, but even some of the people who were handing out flyers next to him were stunned. They seemed to be taken aback and turned to look at Xia Ping. Came to challenge the hall. The tall man showed a non-smiling expression on his face. He turned his head and shouted at the person inside. Brother Sue, another person who knows nothing has come to challenge the hall. Come and deal with it. What? Which idiot came over today to court death? Didn't they learn their lesson last time? It seems I'll have to give a deep, memorable lesson. A man who was 2 meters tall and looked like an iron tower walked out of the door. He exuded a heavy and powerful aura with each his steps. He snapped his fists and looked at Xia Ping grimly. Boy, are you the one who wants to challenge us? You dare come here to cause trouble. Come, I will give you a martial arts lesson for free. As soon as his voice fell, he stretched out his big hand and tried to grab Xia Ping's head. Boom! Before the man's big hand could reach him, Xia Ping punched out with a thunderous force. Ah! The man let out a scream, his face distorted with pain as his huge body flew away like a ping-pong ball and crashed into the nearby cement wall. A human-shaped pothole immediately appeared on the cement wall as numerous cracks surfaced and rubble rolled down. The man who looked like an iron tower was smashed against the wall forcibly. His body was unable to move, and 5 or 6 of his ribs were broken. He looked very miserable as the corners of his mouth were bleeding. The students next to him were all dumbfounded, looking at the iron tower like man in disbelief. They knew how strong this man was as he was a powerhouse at the 6th layer. Even in the Wu-Wei martial arts hall, he was considered an elite, sweeping many of his senior brothers with unparalleled strength. But with just a single punch by this kid, he was seriously injured and knocked into the wall. He was defeated. Someone really defeated him. The tall man suddenly reacted, showing a look of extreme horror. He realized that this time, the man in front of him was the real deal. He really came here to challenge them. Panicked, he ran into the martial arts hall and reported to the senior brother inside. Ta-ta-ta. Xia Ping walked in step by step with a calm and relaxed demeanor, like walking in a leisurely courtyard. At this time, the students all around showed a look of awe. They didn't dare to stop him. They could only watch as he entered Wu-Wei martial arts hall. After entering the Wu-Wei martial arts hall, he noticed that there was a martial arts training ground in front of him. It was a large and empty area, equivalent to a school stadium. Whoosh whoosh. When the tall man went to report the incident, the students in the martial arts hall were shocked. One by one, they ran out of the hall. Suddenly, hundreds of people gathered on the martial arts ground. They were led by Yao Zhong, who was a powerhouse at the 7th layer. Damn, isn't this guy Xia Ping from 95th High School? Why'd he come here? It's really that kid. That infuriating look. I would recognize him, even if he turned to dust. It's him. I dreamed of him last night. In the dream, I beat him hundreds of times and made him kneel on the ground as he begged for mercy. It was a really beautiful dream. I haven't had such a good dream in a long time. I heard that this kid is here to challenge the hall. Damn, we didn't bother him. But he dares come here to cause trouble. A group of men in white exercise suits talked with righteous indignation. They stared at Xia Ping in front of them. They all followed Yao Zhong to trouble Xia Ping. And of course they knew this kid. Xia Ping, what are you here for? Yao Zhong's face was gloomy as he asked. I've come to challenge the hall. Looking at Yao Zhong in front of him, Xia Ping directly stated his purpose. Challenge the hall. Hearing these careless words, Yao Zhong immediately burst into anger. He was sneak attacked by this kid before and was severely injured. They already had a grudge. The two sides were like water and fire. Before I even troubled this kid, this bastard came to my door personally to cause trouble. Even if he is arrogant, there must be a limit. He looks down on people too much. Well, to put it in words that even people with low IQ can understand, I've come to beat you up. Xia Ping felt that his explanation should be simpler, otherwise these people might not understand. Beat us up. Everyone in the Wu-Wei martial arts hall was furious. He came to challenge the club, just to beat them up. Too arrogant. Xia Ping, you are courting death. You have come to the wrong place to show off. We don't need brother Yao Zhong to take action. I can ravage you alone. The people of Wu-Wei martial arts halls were furious like cats that had their tails stepped on. Among them, there was a bald man with a very irritable temper, and he couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. He rushed out in an instant and punched Xia Ping, wanted to knock him down. Ridiculous. Xia Ping was calm and relaxed, just watching the bald man make a move. The moment the bald man approached him, he made his move. His aura changed as quickly as lightning, exuding a grandmaster-like demeanor. He gave a fierce backhanded slap on the face of the bald man. The bald man instantly flew out, spinning 5 to 6 times in the air. The bald man let out a scream, as several teeth mixed with blood flew out. His eyes were white and his mouth was foaming as he finally fell to the ground. He was already unconscious. What? Many disciples were shocked. This bald man was a powerhouse in the 6th layer. He was considered an elite martial artist, but he could not even resist a casual slap of this kid and was instantly knocked out. Even though they knew that this kid was not simple, they didn't expect him to be so strong. I said, I'm here to beat all of you up. Xia Ping stood with his hand held behind his back and glanced at them faintly. Line up one by one. Yao Zhong gloomily stared at Xia Ping. In the few days I haven't seen you, you actually broke through to the 6th layer. Your strength has increased greatly. No wonder you dare to come and find trouble. With his sharp eyes, he could immediately see Xia Ping's cultivation. The disciples of Wu-Wei martial arts hall were shocked. This kid was promoted to the 6th layer so soon. Wasn't he just at the 5th layer before? How could he break through so fast? My strength hasn't increased much, but it's just enough to wipe the floor with all of you. Nothing worth mentioning. Xia Ping said calmly. Was there anything more arrogant than this sentence? What did this bastard eat to get such a poisonous tongue? The group of people glared at Xia Ping with eyes full of anger and clenched their fists. Xia Ping, no matter how thick Yao Zhong's face was, he couldn't let this slide. He said angrily, you hurt my junior brother Zhou Taian before and sent him to the hospital. I let that slide. You made a sneak attack and injured me. Even though your means were despicable, I let that slide. But do you really think that I, Yao Zhong, am a soft persimmon that you can squeeze as you wish? I didn't care about you. But you dare come to my Wu-Wei martial arts hall to show off and hurt my junior brother. constantly trampling my face like this. Even a clay figurine would get angry. Today, if I don't kill you, I'll eat shit. Yao Zhong jumped out and slapped. In an instant, countless densely packed palm shadows appeared with amazing momentum, like Avalokitesvara with 1,000 hands. Every slap contained terrifying power that was enough to turn a boulder into dust. Countless palm shadows appeared both false and real, making it impossible to distinguish which was true and which was false. Once it touched someone, he would be severely injured and fall to the ground. This was Yao Zhong's unique palm. Amazing. It's the 1,000 phantom palm of senior brother Yao Zhong. It's too powerful. With this unique martial skill, senior brother Yao Zhong has beaten many powerful experts. He can even trade blows with powerhouses at the 8th layer. This is an advanced martial skill. The difficulty of training is simply horrendous. Many people may not be able to master it even after 40 or 50 years. But brother Yao Zhong easily mastered this skill. He's simply a genius. Furthermore, this palm contains ultimate Yin power. Its penetrating power is extremely vicious and terrifying. Even a master with strong defense would be hurt by this palm. That kid will be miserable. This time he seriously angered senior brother Yao Zhong. He would definitely be severely injured. Wait, if we accidentally send this guy to the hospital, won't we be held criminally accountable? Accountable my ass. Nowadays, many people come to challenge martial halls. The law has long stipulated that for anyone who dared to come challenge a martial hall, the hall wouldn't bear any legal responsibility unless the challenger died. In other words, as long as we don't kill him, it's fine. Well, you can say so. Poor fellow. He came in walking upright, but he would probably be sent lying down. This is the consequence of finding trouble with our Wu-Wei martial arts hall. We must teach him a lesson. Many disciples in the Wu-Wei martial arts hall were talking about it. All of them looked at Xia Ping with a sneer. 1,000 fantasy palm? It's a good martial skill, but with my spiritual power, I can completely see through it. Xia Ping's eyes gleamed as his spiritual power exploded. He immediately caught Yao Zhong's real palm among thousands of fakes. Got you. He shot out with a claw. Crane fist, crane hunting shrimp. His one hand turned into a claw of a crane and accurately grabbed Yao Zhong's palm after swiftly navigating through countless palm shadows at tricky angles. He was not blinded at all by the palm shadows. Boom! Yao Zhong's palm was grabbed by Xia Ping, like a shrimp caught by a crane, with nowhere to escape. TL. Sorry for not uploading for the past 2 weeks. I had a very painful skin infection on my face that left me incapacitated to do anything that required any concentration. I will try to have a stock of buffer chapter from now on. What? Yao Zhong's face changed drastically as his 1,000 phantom palm was seen through, and even his right hand was grabbed. He never thought that his technique would be defeated so easily. At the same time, he felt a violent sense of crisis. All the cells in his body tightened as he tried to pull out his right hand that was grasped by Xia Ping. But his right hand seemed to be held by a crane containing terrifying vigor. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get rid of it. Damn it! At this moment, Yao Zhong's face was ashen. Because his right hand was caught, Xia Ping clenched his left fist and punched out. Leopard fist leopard hits shooting star. A leopard's roar rang out in the air as his fist slammed against Yao Zhong's abdomen. Yao Zhong immediately felt a terrifying force explode. Yao Zhong let out a miserable scream as his whole body was blown away abruptly. His body slid along the ground for hundreds of meters and finally smashed against the wall before stopping. He stared at Xia Ping stubbornly. But after struggling for a few seconds, a sharp pain assaulted his body. He fell to the ground with a snap and passed out from the abrupt pain. Brother Yao Zhong. The group of disciples in the Wu-Wei martial arts hall shouted with anxiousness and worry. Some people couldn't believe it. This was the famous Yao Zhong, a powerhouse at the 7th layer who could be called the trump card of Wu-Wei martial arts hall. But now he was actually defeated by this kid with a single punch and knocked out. How could this happen? Is that it? There was a trace of disappointment on Xia Ping's face. That's really fragile. You fainted with just a single punch? Are you actually acting? TCH. It seems the eldest disciple of Wu-Wei martial arts hall only has this much strength. Who the hell is acting? Are you blind that you don't see brother Yao Zhong fainting? I know brother Yao Zhong. He doesn't have that good acting skills. A disciple of Wu-Wei martial arts hall shouted in grief. After listening, another pudgy disciple was so annoyed that he snapped and slapped the guy hard. Can you shut the hell up? If you can't speak properly, don't open your mouth. No one will take you for a fool. The man felt very wronged. But that bastard is insulting brother Yao Zhong. I can't stand it. Insult? What you said was more of an insult. The chunky disciple was furious and couldn't wait to beat him up. Xia Ping was speechless. He waved his hand. Okay, stop arguing. I know the true level of your Wu-Wei martial arts hall now. It doesn't seem to be all that good. What? Hearing this, the group of Wu-Wei martial arts practitioners became angry. All of them glared at Xia Ping as if they wanted to tear the bastard to pieces. Upon seeing this, Xia Ping gave a sigh. What's wrong? Are you not convinced? Convince your sister. Wu-Wei martial arts hall is a well-known martial arts hall. The strong are like clouds and can come out in large numbers. How can you just insult us? Everyone stared at Xia Ping ferociously, their hearts bursting with anger. Interesting. Xia Ping stood with his hands folded behind his back and glanced at these people indifferently and said, Then let me see your strength. But I won't take any action against you. It would be like the strong bullying the weak, extremely unfair. The disciples of the Wu Wei martial arts hall were so furious that their noses became crooked. To what extent did this bastard look down on them to show such disdain? Let's do it. Xia Ping made his own suggestion. I will just stand here and let you attack me. As long as you can make me take a single step back, it would be my defeat. I will automatically leave Wu Wei martial arts hall and never come back in my life. Too arrogant. Who do you think you are? Letting us attack and standing there without retaliating? You are too arrogant. Even a powerhouse at the 9th layer wouldn't dare do this. All the disciples of Wu Wei martial arts hall had a distorted face. They felt that they had never seen such an infuriating bastard after living for so many years. You know what? I'll be honest. Xia Ping said with utmost sincerity. Actually, I don't think you all have much strength. Even if you attack me, it would be like a mosquito bite. If you're not convinced, try it. He put on a smug, relaxed look and stood still, inviting them to attack. Fuck, I've never wanted to beat someone so much in my life. Let's go together and kill this bastard. A disciple of Wu Wei martial arts hall couldn't stand it anymore and rushed over immediately. Upon seeing this, many disciples also rushed over. Bang, bang, bang. These people punched and kicked Xia Ping. They did their very best. They felt like they had never worked so hard in their lives before. Even when training, they were not so serious. But when they attacked Xia Ping, they all felt strange. It is as if they were not attacking a human, but a mass of cotton. No matter how fierce their fists were, the powerful attack would be digested and absorbed cleanly. This kind of depressing feeling almost made them vomit blood. What's the matter? Don't have any strength left? Do you want to go home and rest up before starting again? Xia Ping stood with his hands held behind his back. He stood comfortably on the spot as he ran Beiming Body Protection Technique. He felt a crisp and numb warm current surging through his body. It was very comfortable. A trace of true qi was flowing around his body, constantly becoming stronger. He had to say that this was simply the best method of cultivation. Even if you meditated in seclusion and absorbed the energy of heaven and earth, it was not as fast. At the same time, in order to stimulate the combat effectiveness of these people, he had to provoke them from time to time. Everyone try hard. Don't stop attacking this bastard. If we don't beat this guy to half a step from death, the Wu Wei martial arts hall will lose face. This is not only about our dignity, but also about the dignity of the Wu Wei martial arts hall. We must not retreat. The group of people in Wu Wei martial arts hall desperately shouted. Their morale was through the roof. They all vowed that they would never let this bastard Xia Ping look down upon them. They at least had to make him admit defeat when so many of them were attacking. Otherwise, if the people in other martial arts hall knew that they had attacked with so many people and still failed to beat him back a single step, they would absolutely have no face left. However, Xia Ping was unfazed after being attacked for an hour. Instead, all the people who attacked Xia Ping collapsed as if they'd been drained by their girlfriends 7 or 8 times. They had no strength at all. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, the disciples fell to the ground, panting loudly and sweating profusely. Even if some disciples with stronger endurance were still attacking Xia Ping, it could be seen that their fists were already weak like babies. What's wrong? Didn't you say that you were the elites of Wu Wei martial arts hall? After just an hour of fighting, you have no energy left. Xia Ping was very upset. He was enjoying it just now. The strength of his body had been increasing bit by bit. This incomparable pleasure was too comfortable. It felt more refreshing than a massage. But now, these people had no strength and stopped hitting him. Their weak attacks had no effect. Hearing this, the people in the Wu Wei martial arts hall were suffocated to the extreme, but they were indeed lacking strength. They were also extremely helpless. This kid was just a monster. Hundreds of them took turns to beat him up, but it had absolutely no effect. They couldn't even make him take a step back. After fighting for an hour, their opponent was still alive and well, but they had collapsed. They were completely dispirited. No wonder even Big Brother Yao Zhong was not the kid's opponent. They unexpectedly aren't even provoked? It seems that these people really have no energy left. Xia Ping stroked his chin and looked at the Wu Wei martial arts disciples who were lying on the ground like a puddle of mud. No matter how unwilling he was, he had to end it for that day. Forget it. I will let you go today and come back tomorrow. He dropped these words, turned around and left. What? Come tomorrow? Won't we have plenty of time to rest up then? A Wu Wei martial arts hall disciple was happy to see Xia Ping leave. But when he heard these words, his face was completely green. This god of plague will come again tomorrow. Wouldn't he be subjected to more mental plus physical abuse by this kid? Not only was his face green, even the faces of other disciples in the hall were green. However, no matter how reluctant they were, Xia Ping arrived at the gate of Wu Wei martial arts hall on time the next morning and yelled to provoke these people into beating him up. If these people didn't beat him, he would beat them. He said so arrogantly. The disciples of Wu Wei martial arts hall were also powerful experts. How could they take this lying down? So they rushed up one by one to assist Xia Ping in his cultivation. For 3 days in a row, Xia Ping made Wu Wei martial arts hall his home and abused the disciples every day. Have some more strength. Yes, you. The 2-meter-tall, big guy. You have so much muscle. Why do you punch like a baby? Did you come here without eating? And you, kid, are a strong man at the 6th layer. Why is your punches so weak? Did you do something with your girlfriend last night? You're so presumptuous at a young age. I think you will be impotent when you get older. What are you laughing at? It's the same for the 3 of you. Did you say that you are top students in your school? I don't know what low-level school you are in to be at the top with your level of strength. Standing in place, Xia Ping shouted and constantly mentally tortured these students. They had long turned blue and white with anger, almost to the point of vomiting blood. If it were 3 days ago, they would still have a little desire to fight back. But now they were all used to being abused by that bastard. Why are you not attacking anymore? Get up. Are you still students of Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall? Are you still the top students at school? Do you still want to enter a top university? According to your attitude, that is simply a dream. Even the gatekeeper wouldn't want you. Seeing the group of people of Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall lying on the ground like mud, Xia Ping continued to aggravate them. But no matter how much he provoked, they were all lying on the ground pretending to be dead and didn't even move an inch in response to his provocation. Forget it. It seems that you really have no strength. I will come again tomorrow. Xia Ping was a little regretful. It seemed that today's cultivation had to end there. After listening, the face of a disciple turned green and he shouted, "Brother, we have completely given up. Could you not come here to abuse us? Last time we came to your school to show off. It wasn't that big of a deal. Do we really have such a grudge? We won't come to provoke you in the future. Please spare us this time. If this continues, our body will not be able to bear it." The group of disciples had green faces and yelled again and again. They were unconvinced about Xia Ping before, but now they had completely been subdued. If they didn't agree, he would continue coming to abuse them. Even their big brother Yao Zhong was frightened by this guy after being severely injured for 2 consecutive days. Now he was lying down, pretending to be sick, as if he wanted to hide from the limelight. "No, I have to admit that your quality is pretty good. You make very good sparring partners." Xia Ping said, "If I don't trouble you, I don't feel comfortable." Comfortable your sister. The disciples of Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall were very miserable, and they even had nightmares every night about Xia Ping coming to their house to beat them up. They had already developed a herd demon about Xia Ping. "Big brother, don't you just want to find a training partner? There are many more martial arts halls in Tianshui City. They also have powerful experts. Why not trouble them? We are actually very weak. Please don't bully us. If you come again, I will just lie down on the ground and not move." The disciples of Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall made a clamor and threw tantrums. Other martial art halls? Xia Ping had to seriously consider the feasibility of this matter. After these 3 days of abuse, the enthusiasm of these disciples had indeed reduced a lot. Their weak, unenthusiastic attacks almost didn't affect him. If this continued, his cultivation plan might have to be interrupted. He was indeed a little bored after abusing them for 3 days. Well, that's it for today. I will go to another martial arts hall tomorrow. Xia Ping decided and left. Finally, this god of plague has left to harm other martial arts halls. Damn, we must celebrate. Great, it's been full of dark clouds for the past 3 days. I almost wanted to quit from Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall. The sky has finally cleared. The disciples of Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall cried out with joy. They all hugged each other and wept ecstatic tears after they finally managed to drive Xia Ping away. The next day, an unexpected visitor came to the Tiger Martial Arts Hall, which was originally extremely peaceful. This man kicked the door with 1 foot and shouted arrogantly, "I have come to challenge the hall. All of you come at me." He stood directly in the middle of the door with a pompous expression. This person was obviously Xia Ping. Go to hell. Who has the courage to challenge the Tiger Martial Arts Hall? Teach that kid a lesson. Don't be too heavy-handed. Just beat him half to death. All the students in the Tiger Martial Arts Hall were furious. They rushed out to beat up Xia Ping for finding trouble with the hall recklessly. But even after beating him for half an hour, Xia Ping didn't retaliate and he was standing still in the same place. He was as steady as Mount Tai and had a very relaxed expression. "Are you only capable of this?" I looked at the online rankings. You seem to be ranked a bit higher than Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall. But now it seems to be just a rumor. I wouldn't have even bothered to come here if I knew how weak you guys are. Xia Ping showed a look of regret. He knew that Wu-Wei and Tiger Martial Art Halls were near the same position in the rankings, so they were often compared to each other. Therefore, the disciples of these 2 halls often clashed and had resentment towards the other side. Although they were not life and death enemies, they wouldn't normally interact with each other. If they had a disagreement about something, they would fight each other. Now, they were provoked by Xia Ping. "Asshole, you actually compare Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall with us. They just have a fake reputation. Don't be too arrogant, kid. We'll let you see how powerful our Tiger Martial Arts Hall is. It is not comparable to the trash of a Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall. The people in Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall only know some half-assed techniques. How can they compare to us? A single punch from us can destroy them. Is this bastard from Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall? If so, then you're seeking your own death. Everyone, let's go cripple this guy. I will pay for all the medical expenses." Sure enough, the students of the Tiger Martial Arts Hall were completely provoked by Xia Ping's words. They could lose to anyone but Wu-Wei Martial Arts Hall. Bang, bang, bang. They punched and kicked Xia Ping, displaying their tiger boxing technique. Every punch was powerful enough to crush a large rock. Not bad. It's really not bad at all for young people. Young people are usually more active. Some old-timers among you are cutting corners when they punch. Xia Ping was very satisfied. He ran the Beiming Body Protection Technique and transformed the energy from these fists into strength and constantly tempered his body. The energy in his body was quickly refined. Just 1 day was worth the usual month of cultivation. Half an hour later, All the students of the Tiger Martial Arts Hall, who previously seemed lively, were all tired and paralyzed on the ground. They had no strength at all, and they sweated profusely after collapsing. Their faces were pale, as if they were completely drained by their girlfriends. Damn, is this kid a monster? No matter how you hit him, he's completely unfazed. I'm running out of strength. I can usually practice for a few hours without being so tired. Everyone in the Tiger Martial Arts Hall wailed and were stunned to the extreme. Even if they wanted to go up and beat the bastard, they had no strength left. It seems that the people in this martial arts hall are done for today. I should go challenge the next martial arts hall. Xia Ping was very excited as he finally found a reliable shortcut for his cultivation. Although disciples from 2 of the halls had already been completely abused, martial arts halls in this world were prosperous. There were many martial arts halls in Tianshui City, and they could be found on any random street. There was no need to worry about lacking challengers. The next week, Xia Ping continued to challenge other martial arts hall. Batian Martial Arts Hall, Hurricane Martial Arts Hall, Black Cat Martial Arts Hall, Rhino Martial Arts Hall, Flying Pig Martial Arts Hall, and so on. He challenged 7 or 8 martial arts halls in a row. It could be said that almost all the famous martial arts halls near Tianshui City 95th High School were challenged by him. Every student in the martial arts hall was thoroughly abused and wrung dry by him. And this matter quickly spread out. All the surrounding students knew about it, and they frantically discussed in the school's post-bar, forum, and other places. Have you heard? A fierce guy came out of Tianshui City 95th High School. He challenged 7 or 8 martial arts halls in a row and beat all the students inside. The scene was very tragic. Of course I heard. I was at the scene at the time. That person was extremely hateful. With his great strength, he didn't put them in his eyes at all. He was so arrogant that he didn't even take action. Everyone's attacks had no effect on him. Instead, they all lost their strength from exhaustion. It is said that some people who wanted to cut corners and didn't attack with all their strength were caught by the demon. They were beaten and had fractured bones all over their bodies. They wouldn't recover before 3 months. I was terrified by that scene and slipped away. He is so arrogant that he stands still and lets him attack? What is his background? I personally investigated him and finally found out that his name is Xia Ping. He is a student from Tiancheng 95th High School. He seems to have won 2nd place in the school fighting competition, and he also has a beautiful girlfriend who is the school flower. He is strong and also has a girlfriend. How can such natural winners in life not be struck by lightning? According to rumors, he is very despicable and lecherous. He has more than a dozen girlfriends, 8 of whom are pregnant. Sure enough, these winners in life tend to be despicable beasts. This kind of things can't be covered up. Hurry up and call the police to arrest him. Check his details. He would surely have to suffer through labor camp for 3 years. Someone has checked it a long time ago, but it is very clean and there are no records of illegal crimes. He used to be low-key and was a good citizen. I think that he has a powerful background, and those things have already been settled and swept under the rugs. Damn it. Can no one teach this bully a lesson? Everyone in martial arts halls are in danger. They are dreading the day the devil comes to challenge their hall and abuse them. Don't worry, someone will clean him up soon. I heard that he plans to go to Chu Martial Arts Hall tomorrow. It is the largest martial arts hall in this place. The strong are like the cloud there. He will definitely be beat up very badly. I'll go check it out tomorrow and take pictures of that bastard for everyone to watch. This kind of beast should be made famous so that everyone can criticize him. The group of people on the internet had vicious discussions. Among them, there were many martial arts hall disciples who were mistreated by Xia Ping. They all spread rumors and slandered maliciously. At this time, Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall, a group of disciples wearing white practice clothes were gathering in this place. Everyone was silent, and no one was looking at another. The atmosphere was dignified as if they would be facing a big enemy. Senior Sister Chu Rong is here. Suddenly, a disciple shouted, "Whoosh whoosh." All the disciples at the scene looked over and saw a tall and hot girl walk in through the door. She was 168 meters tall and wore loose white exercise clothes. But this still couldn't conceal her extremely seductive figure. She had an exquisite waist and bulging bosom. Her thin waist could be held with only one hand. She was definitely a stunner. When she came in, all the male disciples couldn't help but widen their eyes, showing admiration as if all the brilliance of the world had been taken away by her alone. Da. The girl didn't care at all, as if she had been accustomed to this kind of gaze. She walked step by step to the front position and sat down cross-legged. She looked at the disciples in the Chu family's martial arts hall with an indifferently gaze that contained majesty. The disciples all around bowed their heads and did not dare look directly because this girl was not only beautiful, but also powerful. She was the daughter of the master of Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. She was the #1 master here, a powerhouse at the 7th layer. In other words, none of them here was her opponent. I heard that someone wants to come to my Chu Clan Hall to exchange some pointers. Chu Rong asked. Yes, that kid is a student from Tianshui City 95th High School, named Xia Ping. He challenged 7 or 8 martial arts halls in a row. Their disciples were beaten badly. Although he is only a martial artist in the 6th layer, he seems to have practiced a formidable defensive skill. No matter how many times he was attacked, he was completely fine. That guy is extremely arrogant. When he challenges a hall, he doesn't take the initiative to attack. He allows his opponents to attack and completely humiliates those martial arts students. It is rumored that after being challenged by that kid, Many martial arts students collapsed and were so shocked that they could not get out of bed for 3 days. They almost wanted to give up martial arts. He should be coming to our Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall tomorrow to humiliate us. Many students began to speak as their faces showed unwillingness. But according to the kids' previous record, the odds of them defeating him was abysmal. It was impossible to escape. They were martial arts schools. If they met and chose to avoid fighting, the hall would lose all credibility and their reputation would be dragged through the mud. Could they possibly still hang around in Tianshui City in the future? If they did that kind of thing, they would be laughed at wherever they went. Tianshui City, 95th High School. Their people actually dared to come to my Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall to look for trouble. Does he have a death wish? Chu Rong couldn't help clenching her fists as her beautiful eyes showed a trace of anger. The disciples around also knew why Chu Rong was so angry. Because most of them were students from Tianshui City 88th High School, who were sworn enemies of 95th High School. Because of their long-standing grievances, the students of the two schools were in a competitive relationship and disliked each other. They usually spit on each other whenever they encounter someone from the other school on the road. But now that bastard from 95th High School actually came to bully them, how could they not be angry? Sister Chu, I heard that Xia Ping seems to be Jiang Yar's boyfriend. A student immediately told about the gossip that had been circulating on the internet. What? How could that kid be Jiang Yar's boyfriend? Hearing this news, Chu Rong was shocked, because she and Jiang Yaru were also deadly rivals. They often met in competitions between various schools in Tianshui City. The competition between these two rivals was fierce. Hearing about Jiang Yar suddenly having a boyfriend and getting impregnated by someone, her head became blank for a while as she found this news incredulous. Yeah, I also heard that the kid is a scumbag. He has a dozen girlfriends outside the school, all of whom were impregnated and forced into getting abortions by him. Even Jiang Yaru succumbed to his wiles. That bastard not only enjoys humiliating his enemies, he even likes to play with women. He started picking up girls at the age of 8, went in for prostitution at 12, and took different women to motels at 15. This guy is a complete villain. A group of students added fuel to the fire. Damn it. After listening, Chu Rong was extremely angry and heartbroken. Jiang Yaru, I thought you were a good opponent, and I've been working hard to cultivate in order to defeat you. But I didn't expect that you would fall into the arms of a scumbag. Are you still a martial arts expert and the opponent of me? Chu Rong, you really disappointed me. She clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. Although she wanted to defeat Jiang Yaru, she didn't want to defeat her in this way. She would never admit this kind of victory. Jiang Yaru, Chu Rong gritted her teeth, and her beautiful eyes showed a blazing flame. Since you have been deceived by a scumbag and can't see anything, let me wake you up completely. He will be defeated by me, so that you can see his true face. That kind of man is not worthy of a woman like you. A student hesitated and said, but Sister Chu, although Xia Ping is a bit of a scumbag, his strength is absolutely solid. It is said that even the big brother Yao Zhong of Wuwei Martial Arts Hall couldn't break his defensive martial skill. He was beaten, and now he is hiding in the hospital and doesn't dare to come out. What defensive martial skill? Chu Rong snorted coldly. My Chu clan's martial skill, Heaven and Earth Mountain's splitting leg, specializes in extreme penetrating power. There used to be a guy who practiced the Iron Shirt's defensive marital skill who wanted to challenge me. I kicked him 3 times and sent him flying a dozen meters away. He had 5 or 6 broken ribs. Could it be that this Xia Ping can endure more than 10 or 20 of these kicks? How could a high school kid possibly be that strong? She was extremely confident of herself. No one was her opponent. Even the genius Jiang Yaru could only match herself, but could not defeat her. That's right. How powerful is the Heaven and Earth Mountain splitting leg? Even a monster with a strong defensive power would have his internal organs shredded. That kid is naturally not Sister Chu Rong's opponent. That bastard's martial skill cannot compare to ours. If he dares to come over, he will be given a memorable lesson. The disciples of the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall shouted one by one in the face of a common enemy. In the evening of the next day, Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. At this time, the martial arts hall was surrounded by a dense crowd. All of them were students who came to spectate. What's the matter? I never imagined that there would be so many onlookers. Is that Xia Ping's reputation really so big? A person asked curiously. His companion looked at the man contemptuously and said, don't you have any idea how powerful this Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall is? Most of the audience is not here for Xia Ping, but for the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. Is this Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall so awesome and popular? That person couldn't believe it. His companion said, they are indeed very powerful. But most people are here for elder sister Chu Rong, who is very popular. She is a famous female star on the internet. She is both beautiful and powerful. She has long become a celebrity and has many fans. Once she starts a live broadcast about a martial arts competition, millions of viewers will immediately come to watch and give countless gifts. It could be said that Chu Rong is a living advertisement for the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. Many disciples joined the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall solely for her. His eyes also showed admiration. Obviously, he was also one of her fans. It turns out that the people who came here are all fanboys. No wonder they are so fanatical. The person suddenly realized as he looked around. He was indeed different from most of the onlookers here. His companion sneered. Anyway, it's fine if Xia Ping doesn't come. But if he does, he will instantly become public enemy number 1. I am afraid that he wouldn't even be able to escape by then. Even if he wins, he would be attacked in an alley and beaten up. He showed a vicious look. Look, that bastard Xia Ping really came. Someone exclaimed. Whoosh whoosh. Everyone looked over. A bus stopped at the platform, and a figure slowly walked out from it. It was Xia Ping who everyone was talking about. They had all seen photos of Xia Ping on the internet. They would recognize him even if he turned to ashes. Well, why are so many people here to welcome me? Xia Ping was also a little surprised. He came to the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall to challenge them. But he did not expect to see so many people gathered in front of the hall as if to welcome and provide a grand reception to a big shot. Welcome your sister. A bulky man of 2 meters tall stood up with a grim face as he squeezed his big fist. He stared at Xia Ping ferociously and said, I advise you to go back immediately. You are not allowed to challenge the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. Otherwise, I won't be polite with you. It's a trivial thing to break 3 of your ribs. Yes, you can't provoke the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. If you dare hurt even a single hair of Miss Chu, I will kill you. Immediately 3 men walked out. They were around 1.9 meters tall and looked like an iron tower. They were all powerhouses of the 6th layer. Everyone sneered. If this kid tried to enter the martial arts hall today, he would be beaten to the ground by an angry crowd at the door. Scram! Xia Ping just uttered a single word and punched out. It was like a tiger pouncing and as fast as lightning. In an instant, he released 3 punches into the air, and each punch exploded out with thousands of kilograms of shocking, vigorous force. Bang, bang, bang! The 3 men were caught off guard and couldn't react at all. One of them received a punch in the abdomen, and his whole body flew out and slid along the ground for 40 to 50 meters. With a belch, he even started to vomit bile as his eyes turned white and he fainted. You dare! The 2-meter-tall bulky man was furious. His whole body was like a black bear as he rushed out all at once. His hill-like body was full of oppression as if he could shred all prey. Leopard fist thunder, leopard hammer. Xia Ping shouted out with a fist that blew up strong wind like a thunder blasting out of thin air. It hit the bulky man's body like a heavy hammer, and his hill-like body immediately flew out. Boom! He flew out and slammed on the wall of the martial arts hall. With a click, 5 or 6 of his ribs were broken, and a large amount of rubble rolled down from above. When everyone saw it, they were shocked. The bulky man had been knocked out instantly and could no longer move. This bulky man was a powerhouse at the 7th layer with extremely powerful combat strength capable of tearing a tiger and cheetah with his bare hands. But he was still not an opponent for Xia Ping. Who dares to stop me? Xia Ping stood with his hand held behind his back as his cold eyes, full of extreme oppression, swept around. Everyone around him bowed their heads as they felt the huge pressure. They did not dare gaze back, and their bodies were trembling. They witnessed the 4 powerhouses being blown away by this kid with a single punch. One of them had his lungs severely wounded and his bones were broken. There was no way for them to fight back. They seemed weaker than a chicken compared to Xia Ping. Who would dare to stop him? Although Xia Ping only came here to challenge the hall, it didn't mean that he had no temper. If he didn't take action to teach these people a lesson, he would constantly be annoyed. Suddenly, there was pin-drop silence as no one dared to say anything at all. Although Xia Ping was only one person, he was like an ancient beast crushing many people. They didn't even dare take a deep breath in this tense atmosphere. Enough! At this moment, an angry shout came from the entrance of a martial arts hall. A group of disciples wearing white exercise clothes walked out. The head of the group was a woman, and it was Chu Rong. The audience around them all gazed back at her with shining eyes. She was indeed a stunning beauty. That kind of brave and heroic demeanor was enough to make any man stunned. Are you here to challenge the hall, or to cause trouble? Chu Rong stared at Xia Ping angrily. Seeing this kind of domineering behavior, her impression of this bastard became worse and worse. He was just a shameless person who made trouble with his strength. He was not even handsome. She didn't know why Jiang Yaru fell in love with such a man. Was she blind? I'm not causing trouble. Just swatting some flies who don't know their place. They don't have the qualifications for me to cause them any trouble. What? The crowd was in an uproar. How arrogant was this bastard? Although it had long been rumored that he didn't place anyone in his eyes, they did not expect him to be so arrogant. Even martial artists at the 6th and 7th layer were regarded by him as flies. So who was his opponent? Was it someone at the martial warrior realm? The disciples of the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall were even more angry. They were mad at Xia Ping's arrogant attitude. They had never seen someone like him. It seemed as if every word and every sentence of his were meant to infuriate them. This bastard. Chu Rong thought that she had a good temper. But even she couldn't help but become mad at this kid's arrogance. He was only a martial artist in the 6th layer, and he dared to be so arrogant. If he got promoted to the 7th, 8th, or 9th layer, wouldn't his ego shoot to the sky? She had also seen many martial arts powerhouses, even those in the martial warrior realm. But she had never seen such an arrogant person, as if no one in the world was his opponent. You're the people of Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall. Xia Ping looked at Chu Rong and the others and made a very disappointed expression. I thought that the Chu Clan Martial Arts Hall was ranked first in this area and had some skills. But it seems those were just rumors. What a disappointment. If you want to defeat me, your hall master would have to fight me himself. He looked up to the sky and sighed, showing the loneliness of a master at the top. Arrogant. Our pavilion master is a powerful martial artist. How would he deal with you personally? Don't be too arrogant, you shameless bastard. We can beat you ourselves and make you run away in embarrassment. Everyone in the Chu clan martial arts hall turned green with anger as they shook all over. Generally speaking, when a hall was challenged, the apprentice dealt with the apprentice and a master dealt with the master. Therefore, even if Xia Ping came to challenge 7 or 8 martial arts halls and defeated countless disciples, the masters of the martial arts halls did not personally act. They only let their apprentices act. But this bastard even wanted to challenge their hall master. This was simply the biggest insult to them. Who could possibly bear it? The onlookers were also in an uproar, thinking that Xia Ping was too abhorrent. He wanted to challenge someone in the martial warrior realm when he was only in the martial apprentice realm. Wasn't this looking for death? Although his challenge would definitely fail, he indirectly insulted the disciples of the Chu clan martial arts hall, indicating that no disciple in the hall could defeat him. Only the master of the hall could defeat him. That's a big statement. Chu Rong's face was extremely gloomy and her beautiful eyes were filled with anger as she stared at Xia Ping. Since you are so powerful and think you are invincible, do you dare to make a bet? A bet? What do you want to bet on? Xia Ping raised an eyebrow. Chu Rong snorted coldly and said, You and I fight. If I win, you must break up with Jiang Yaru and you can't get close to her in this life. Seeing this bastard's behavior just now, she felt that Jiang Yaru must not be allowed to continue staying with this bastard. Otherwise, Jiang Yaru's life would be over. What? Xia Ping's expression became weird. Did this woman have a problem with her head? What does affairs have to do with Jiang Yaru? He thought for a long time and still couldn't understand. But he didn't care either, because he had no reason to lose. After these 7 days of continuous challenges to the martial arts halls, his Beiming Body Protection Technique had been cultivated to the point where his body was as hard as steel. Even a powerhouse at the 8th layer could only dream of hurting him. Because of continuously taking a lot of golden potions and refining and absorbing them, he had reached the peak of the 6th layer. He could break through to the 7th layer with just one more step. How could he be afraid of a chick in the 7th layer? Interesting. I'll accept the bet. Xia Ping looked at Chu Rong, but what if you lose? Chu Rong was stunned. Lose? If you win, I have to do something. But what's the benefit for me in winning? If there are no benefits for me, it wouldn't be fair. Xia Ping said flatly. Chu Rong was stunned. She did not think about the possibility of losing, but she gritted her teeth and said in a deep voice, Okay, if I, Chu Rong, lose, I will be your girlfriend. Sister Chu. The group of people yelled anxiously as they tried to stop her quickly. How could they let her be the girlfriend of this shameless guy? Don't worry. I, Chu Rong, have no chance of losing. Chu Rong waved her hand, appearing extremely confident. Everyone was anxious, but helpless. No way. Xia Ping refused. You can't be my girlfriend. What? The group of people glared at Xia Ping. Such a beautiful woman was willing to be your girlfriend. It was a blessing that he would never get in this life, and he was reluctant to accept it. You look down on me? Chu Rong gritted her teeth. She felt the veins on her forehead protrude as she couldn't suppress the urge to beat him brutally. In all her 18 years of life, she had always been the only one choosing a man. No man had ever rejected her. My girlfriends are too many. There's no spot for you left. Xia Ping said. Well, I guess I could have you as my lover. But you can only be lover number 8. Damn it, this beast. Not even a girlfriend, but a lover. Even a beauty like Chu Rong can only be ranked 8th. Why doesn't he just drop dead? One person said with grief. Shameless. I have never seen such a shameless person. This is not the ancient era. This is modern society. Does he wish to have a harem of 3,000 concubines like an ancient emperor? Is he not afraid of wasting away his kidneys? TL. In China, it was thought that excessive sex caused kidney damage. Just wait. This bastard will be hacked to death by one of his girlfriends sooner or later. Retribution will come in time. Damn it, what's so good about this guy? Why are there so many women in love with him? Are they all blind? Damn it, I'm still a virgin. And he gets to have groups of wives and concubines. Why is life so unfair? Everyone was in grief and indignation as their hatred for Xia Ping soared. If eyes could kill people, Xia Ping's body would have been filled with 1,000 holes. Lover number 8? Hearing this, Chu Rong almost fainted. God knows how many women were around this beast. And Jiang Yaru was one of the victims. She would probably just be a drop in the ocean. This bastard was simply a scumbag. If such scum was not removed, she couldn't imagine how many more sisters would have to suffer. Yes, lover number 8. If you don't agree, there will be no bet to speak of. Xia Ping waved his hand nonchalantly. Fine. So be it. Chu Rong gritted her teeth as her beautiful eyes showed a fierce light. Today, she would beat this bastard up and crush his jewels. Sister Chu, everyone was nervous, but they couldn't stop it now, because even Tin Bulls couldn't stop her once Chu Rong made a decision. Heaven and Earth Mountain sundering kick. Ding, 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 ding. When Chu Rong accepted the bet, Xia Ping heard a series of system notifications. +1 hate point, +1 hate point. After the provocation, just now, who knows how many people want to beat him up? It's only natural for his hate points to soar. Sure enough, picking up girls is the best way to increase hate. Xia Ping stroked his chin. What can be more hateful than when even though you detest me, but I still pick up your goddess? He looked around and found that all the people in the surroundings want to rip his head off, to throw him into oncoming traffic. But, regardless how angry the surrounding people are, Xia Ping and Chu Rong quickly signed a contract. Let's go to the Chu clan martial arts hall. Chu Rong turned around and walked towards the Chu clan martial arts hall. Whoosh whoosh. A group of people soon came to an open space of the Chu clan martial arts hall, which is the training grounds. The people parted at once, leaving an empty space in the middle. This is the place where the martial contest will take place. Xia Ping and Chu Rong are standing in the middle, 10 meters apart, facing each other. Holding their breath, the people around them want to see who wins this match. Of course, they want Xia Ping to lose. If he is beaten black and blue, that's even better. Start the match. The referee, a disciple of the Chu clan martial arts hall, stepped forward and announced the start of the match. Boom tilde tilde. The voice has just fallen when Chu Rong set out. After suppressing her anger for who knows how long, she finally has a chance to vent. She took action in a spectacular manner. Chu clan martial arts hall unique technique, the heaven and earth mountain sundering kick, the first form, reversing the heaven and earth. Amazing. Everyone exclaimed in admiration. As a legendary genius, Chu Rong is even stronger than Yao Zhong. When she unleashed the kick, the air exploded, setting off a strong wind. They could hardly see Chu Rong's movements. They just felt that a figure streaked by, spun 9 times in the air, and unleashed tremendous force, as if a meteor hit the ground and heaven and earth were turned upside down. Along with a whoosh, she kicked at his chest with a devastating force. It's said that when this kicking unique technique, the heaven and earth mountain sundering kick, is used by grandmaster martial arts experts, it possesses the power to split the earth and smash mountains and rivers with a kick. Someone exclaimed, "Once upon a time, there was a grandmaster martial arts expert who dealt with countless monstrous beasts. With one kick, tens of thousands of powerful monstrous beasts met a violent end in an instant, and a rift dozen-plus kilometers long appeared in the earth." There is such a rumor indeed. Although senior disciple Sister Chu is a 7th-layer martial apprentice, but she has cultivated this martial skill to its essence. Even if she faces an ordinary 8th-layer martial apprentice, the other party may not be her opponent. What's more, this kicking technique possesses great penetrating force. No body protection art can resist it. Acting like he's unconcerned, this fellow is toast. Discussions rose as the spectators watched Xia Ping stand still with his hands behind his back and look calm and composed, as if he doesn't intend to make any evasive movements. Bang! Chu Rong ruthlessly kicked Xia Ping in the chest. Then, currents of air shook, and even ripples visible to the naked eye arose in the air and spread in all directions. Caught off guard, 2 or 3 spectating disciples were sent flying by the aftermath, screaming. They fell on the ground 5 or 6 meters away. Shocked, the spectators couldn't believe their eyes. That's it. Still standing in the same place, Xia Ping looked at Chu Rong indifferently and sighed secretly. This girl's strength is the real deal. Judging solely from this kick, its might is twice that of Yao Zhong's attacks. Even though he has challenged many martial arts experts before, but none of them could match up to this girl. As expected of a gifted girl who is just as famous as Jiang Yaru. If it wasn't for the fact that in the past 7 days he had practiced the Beiming Body Protection Technique to the point where his body is as hard as steel, he wouldn't have been able to bear this kick and would be sent flying. Regrettably, this is the current Xia Ping, not the Xia Ping from 7 days ago. Curses! Chu Rong couldn't believe her eyes. Despite how strong her kick was, she couldn't even make this man move half a step. What the hell is this? The heaven and earth mountain sundering kick, the second form, breaking the 5 mountains. With a whoosh, she operated her true chi and unleashed another kick, and her momentum rose, looking like an ancient god trying to crush the 5 sacred mountains. The spectators were shocked by this kick, which is twice as mighty as the previous one. Just the currents of air set off by the leg made the people unsteady. A lot of people staying in the front fell back one after another to avoid being hurt. They learned from what happened to the several unfortunate people just now. Boom tilde tilde. This kick ruthlessly landed on Xia Ping as well, unleashed a rumbling sound, and set off fearsome currents of air, as if trying to penetrate Xia Ping's defenses and hurt his internal organs. What an amazing kick. Xia Ping's eyes shone brightly. He operated the Beiming Body Protection art, and his breath surged like a current of water, weakening the strength of this kicking technique. If it was the Iron Shirt, the Vajra Body Protection art, or other Honglian-1 arts instead, they wouldn't be able to resist such a frightening kick. The force would have infiltrated the body and harmed the internal organs in an instant. However, the Beiming Body Protection art is a top-shelf art that trashy body protection arts cannot compare to. It can neutralize all forces and even make use of them. How could this be? Chu Rong widened her beautiful eyes, unable to believe her eyes. This kick, that is the condensation of her life's accomplishments. This pinnacle kick can even send 8th-layer martial apprentices flying and defeat them. But the fellow standing here is still. He was able to resist her pinnacle kick. So far, she wasn't even able to make this bastard move a step. I don't believe that you're really this powerful. Receive my final kick, which is also my strongest attack. Although I haven't mastered it thoroughly yet, but it's enough to deal with you. Chu Rong took a deep breath. A blast sounded, a hole appeared on the earth at her feet, and countless cracks extended. Heaven and earth mountain sundering kick, the third form, cleaved the 9 provinces. In the blink of an eye, 9 kick afterimages appeared in the air. But these 9 kick afterimages merged into one. 9 different kinds of forces, such as winding force, soft force, sticky force, hard force, and others, blended together and burst out with a fearsome might. Such a blow is enough to shatter the earth and cleave the 9 provinces too. It is said that in ancient times, there have been peerless experts who could split the mainland and divide the 9 provinces with a kick, which earned them the admiration of countless martial arts experts. Senior disciple Sister Chu is too strong. Even the Chu clan martial arts hall's disciples have never seen Chu Rong perform such an attack. This is basically the rudiment of the martial arts grandmaster. This one strike can match the fighting strength of a 9th layer martial apprentice. 1. Hung is a way of training and literally means training through brute strength. Hunglian refers to a method which uses smashing of one's body onto a hard object in order to train their body parts. 2. 9 provinces is a term used in ancient times that symbolically represents China. Princess Carry. Thud. Xia Ping still didn't resist and allowed Chu Rong to attack on him. A merciless kick hit him in the chest, and a force radiated in all directions, set off violent currents of air, and raised a cloud of dust. The spectators took quite a few steps back to avoid being affected by the aftermath. Due to the surging dust, they were temporarily unable to see the two clearly. That show-off is toast. A student of the Chu clan martial hall uttered an affirmation. This kick, which is enough to shatter rocks and even mountains, can compare to a strike from an ordinary 9th layer martial apprentice. A mere 6th layer martial apprentice can't resist it. Indeed, another person nodded. If that fellow dodged, he may still have had hope of winning. But he is too full of himself. He actually met such a fearsome kick head-on. If he comes out of this alive, he can already count himself luck. That fellow will likely be sent directly to the hospital and spend a year there. Other people agreed. According to their insight, they think that Xia Ping has no hope of winning. Chu Rong's kick has reached a frightening degree. But at the heart of the battle, Chu Rong's countenance has changed greatly. Originally, she was full of confidence, thinking that this kick would definitely defeat Xia Ping. At first, things went smooth. Previously, her frightening force seemed to constantly destroy the cotton-like defense, penetrate his body, and attack his internal organs. But at this moment, the momentum of this bastard doubled abruptly. Seeming more dreadful than before, the whole person is like a dire beast. Then, as if her kick's power fell into an endless sea, it was weakened continuously until nothing was left. Thank you. If it wasn't for your kick, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to promote to a 7th layer martial apprentice this soon. Xia Ping smiled lightly, elated. After a week of cultivation, he was at the pinnacle of the 6th layer martial apprentice realm, only half a step away from connecting 7 meridians and advancing to his 7th layer martial apprentice. The other party's fearsome kick prompted his Beiming Body Protection art to run wildly, rapidly refining the energy of the gold potion and changing it into a large amount of true qi. In this way, he broke through the 7th meridian at once, and his strength increased greatly. No way. Chu Rong was stunned. Sudden breakthrough? Are you a freak? You could do a thing like sudden breakthrough. She used to think that sudden breakthrough was just a legend. After all, cultivation is arduous and is accumulated over a long period of time. It's extremely hard to have a breakthrough. It takes a long time to prepare. For someone to break through in the middle of a fight, that's preposterous. But now she actually saw a guy have a sudden breakthrough right before her very eyes, while fighting her break through to a 7th layer martial apprentice. Nothing is impossible. For you to be this surprised, it only shows that you don't understand true martial arts. With his hands behind his back, Xia Ping revealed the bearing of a martial arts great scholar. The world of martial arts is infinite. There is no such thing as impossible. The thought impossibility only limits your future. Utter rubbish. Chu Rong is furious. Even though the bastard broke through, he is just a martial apprentice. Yet he's showing off and talking about martial arts. Even a martial practitioner wouldn't dare talk big like that and claim that they understand martial arts. Even though you advance to a 7th layer martial apprentice, Chu Rong will defeat you. With a boom, she operated the true qi inside her, used all her strength, and unleashed a kick, reversing the heaven and earth, and mercilessly kicked at Xia Ping's chest. You are no longer my opponent. Xia Ping slowly extended his right hand and patted lightly. Bang! When the two powerful forces collided, a loud explosion sounded in the air and a shockwave erupted. Deafening noise assaulted the ears of the spectators, prompting them to cover their ears. Damn it! Chu Rong was shocked to detect that the strength of her kick was far below that of the other party's palm strike, and she even received a recoil. A force erupted, extended along her leg, and spread all over her body. Boom! In a flash, her white training clothes, even her underwear, were shattered into strips of cloth, revealing a sexy figure. While holding her right foot, Xia Ping's eyes brightened. Not bad. Not bad at all. With such a figure, you're qualified to be my 8th lover. I'm really satisfied. He didn't expect that the fight would give him such a treat. Satisfied my ass. Chu Rong felt both ashamed and angry. She didn't expect for such a thing to occur. For her sculpted figure to be revealed in front of a stranger. Is there anything more shameful than this? Fortunately, the cloud of dust around them blocked the view of the spectators. Otherwise, she would want just to crawl into a hole and die. Go to hell. Unwilling to take this lying down, with her right foot as the axis, she rotated her body and unleashed a kick with her left foot, raising a strong wind that set off a whistling sound. But Xia Ping, who has been ready, extended his left hand and easily blocked the kick. Then, he wound his arms around Chu Rong and held her in standard princess carry. "Ah!" Chu Rong exclaimed. Her pretty face flushed, and her beautiful eyes revealed the fire of shame and anger. She struggled, trying to escape from the arms of this shameless guy. Being held by a guy while completely naked, how unseemly. "Stop making such a fuss." Xia Ping stared at Chu Rong and said, "Do you want others to see you?" This. Upon hearing this, Chu Rong stopped struggling at once, an unsightly expression on her face. If others saw her like this, she wouldn't have the face to appear in public. She would become a laughing stock in the school. "Good girl." Seeing that Chu Rong is no longer struggling, Xia Ping said with a light smile, "Now, let's go into Martial Hall, find a room, and have a chat, my 8th lover." "Your lover, my ass." Chu Rong is mad. But in her current situation, it's not good for her to continue to resist. She can only glare at this shameless bastard. Whoosh! With a slight tap of his feet, he unleashed a formidable force from his legs, and as if a white crane, gracefully crossed a dozen-plus meters and left the cloud of dust. "Look, that bastard Xia Ping is escaping." A spectator heard the wind, looked up at once, and saw Xia Ping jump into midair, looking like he's going to run away. But these people fundamentally couldn't keep up with him. In a few jumps, Xia Ping, looking like a white crane with its wings spread, erupted with a frightening speed and soon disappeared from the training ground.